What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another broadcast of the NACL Open Qualifiers here on Aegis. We're coming at you with day 2, where we are going to check out 2 different matches from the lower bracket, see who gets eliminated and sent home early, and who's going to keep their dreams of NACL qualification alive. My name is Gordo. I am joined by Hummus on the cast today. Hummus, thank you so much for hopping on board. It's such short notice. It's great to have you here.
Always good. I was still Slayer down bottom, so that's who's, supposed to be here. But it's fine. Being called Slayer is, I think, an honor, actually. I've casted with Slayer a couple times. First time on the booth with you, but super excited to be here. We work Risen together, and you're Gordo. It's amazing to be here. 2 teams, lower bracket, as you mentioned, Contingent Esports, and then Next Level Esports. Personally, Contingent, fairly well-known organization in the circles I run, and Next Level, got nothing on them. I'm hoping you're going to be able to fill in a lot of the question marks on these organizations, these programs, everything like that. And yeah, we're straight into draft already, so... Yeah,
these teams are ready to go. So looking like we're going to kick off with Contingent on the blue side. Contingent, a team that we're super familiar with here on Aegis as an organization, but they're kind of coming in with a new roster this time around. They got Mace in the top lane and Lion Eyes at support, but the rest of the squad, Reborn, Mountain X, Dank, and Rewins, are all new faces to the rest of us here on and most of the amateur community. They kind of have come straight out of solo queue, but certainly have been putting up the numbers in this season to earn this team a very, very high seed. So they came into the event actually as the 6th seed overall in this 64 team bracket, and then dropped their round 1 matchup to end up here in the lower bracket. So it's going to be very cool to see how these guys are able to kind of re-steal themselves and what they're going to be able to do in this matchup, as we are flying through draft here. Contingent starting with the Maokai, grabbing a Sivir and a Syndra as well. Next Level Esports getting those 2 prized picks at their respective positions, the Varus and the Skarner. That's a real powerful first red side rotation.
Sure is. I'm a big believer in Skarner, especially on the ganks. If you're looking to play that sort of comp with the Aurora as well, going to be a little bit of lockdown with the Between Worlds. But Skarner's ability to go through walls, his tower dive, is somewhat unmatched in the jungler pool for the most part. Obviously, Varus is one of the classic ADCs that's played in meta these days. I'm a little bit interested that we haven't seen the support pick come out. Will allow Contingent to slim down that support pool a little bit in the second round of bans. We're seeing that already with the Braum come out. However, the same thing applies to Contingent. They brought the Sivir and ADC. They haven't locked in a support to go with it, unless, because I'm assuming that it's a Maokai jungle. To be fair, assuming it's a Maokai jungle here.
Yeah. We'll find out where they actually want to put that Maokai. We've seen a fair bit of Maokai support over the first day of the tournament. That's not going to be the case for everybody, though. So it's really going to come down to what the preferences are here for Contingent. Again, a lot of players that we're not super familiar with, but I could see this going to Reborn or to Lion Eyes. The Leona going to be snapped up here for Next Level, though, so they are certainly thinking about what Yoru is going to be playing. Yoru, by the way, I haven't gotten to talk about Next Level Esports too much, a support that really impressed me in his last ACL split, so I'm excited to see what he's going to show us. He's got a real dope Thresh. If we get deep enough into Fearless, we might get to see it.
Getting the Cassante locked in as well, so obviously that round 5 pick for Next Level will be going towards the top lane. Gonna be rounding off for Contingent with the support pick here. A lot of supports, as we mentioned, taken off the board. We're looking for what pairs well with Sivir, and honestly, Gordo, I'm not a huge fan of Sivir right now. I haven't felt like she's super great. I mean, granted, I'm comparing to a Varus, which has been very, very good for seasons and seasons. And
oh boy. Well, it's happened. I mean, here we are. It's gonna be Lion Eyes looking like he's busting out the Yuumi to go along with this Sivir for Rewins. So see how the likes of Idol and Yoru are gonna be able to deal with this one. That's an annoying pick though, Hummus. I'm not gonna lie.
Well, so I'm a Yuumi main. Like I mained Yuumi for a while there. I know. Way to make myself. And let me just say as well, I've transitioned towards ADC a little bit more, and AP damage Yuumi. Like when you think Yuumi, you think the traditional heal shield kind of support, like the Milios, like all of that. Damage Yuumi is surprisingly powerful if you play it correctly. Sion getting brought in as well. to round off this draft. And for the record, Gordo, I'm used to draft lull where they could hover a Yuumi and then pick something else, and I forgot that wasn't what we were doing. And so when the Yuumi came in, I just like assumed that it was just a hover and a joke, and it's not. And you know what? If this cat wins, I'm gonna be really, really impressed.
Absolutely here. And I see from Aloxio in chat, who is of course coach for Next Level Esports, that it is going to be Zolani in its support for Contingent. So that's interesting to me. That's not a name I have on my sheet, but that does not mean it's not true. So we will find out who exactly it's going to be once we start to get onto the Rift. The Scion, of course, going to be the last pick for Next Level Esports. That's a pick that Fiji is going to be plenty comfortable on. Loves to play these kind of survive side top laners when he gets his opportunity. And let's wrap back around to talk about Next Level Esports here a little bit as a squad that has been able to really impress, I think, over the last calendar year or so. They had a little bit of a breakout in OQ1 from last summer where they were able to make top 16, even though they were only the 27th seed. So a little bit of a big upset for them there. And then afterwards, Asila getting moved on to Ole Miss, big opportunity for him. But this has still been a competitive team since they've added Heal/Zutter in the mid lane. In their last ACL split, they went 4-4, pretty respectable. Just barely got edged out for playoffs, but still a solid performance for them, and one that would make me expect that they're going to be favorites in this matchup today.
Fair enough. I mean, I'm impressed that these two teams, and I guess impressed isn't necessarily the right word, but I'm a little bit shocked that both these teams dropped to the lower bracket. You know, you mentioned Next Level Esports having that great run, Contingent Esports being a highly ranked, granted out of solo queue, and as we all know, solo queue very different from team fights and team comps and all of that. But for both of these teams, you know, open qualifier, it's loser's bracket. This is do or die here. And so you talked about the mental resolve for Contingent Esports. Can they re-steal themselves? I think the same question applies to Next Level. They're clearly expecting to do better than going out 0-2 if they lose here today. Can we bring the mental in and see that team fight that they've worked on and all of that skills? And we have lanes and champions and names. It's wonderful. Okay, so Zolani is on the Yuumi. Okay.
All right, yeah, so Zolani is coming on in. I do want to apologize as well. I misspoke. Alexiou no longer with this Next Level Esports squad. They have moved on over to Sagittarius as their coach. So sorry about that. Won't make that mistake again, Sagittarius, but still happy to have Alexiou over in our Twitch chat to see how his players are progressing now that he's moved on over to Ole Miss as well alongside Asila. But it is looking like it's going to be Heal in the mid lane for NLE, so it's still that same roster that we got to experience the last ACL with. And again, really impressed with what they were able to show us there. I think it was a little unfortunate that they were in a competitive enough group where 4-4 was not enough to make it out. Other groups that would have gotten you there. So just a little bit of unfortunate bracket draw for them there, and very possibly the same for them this time around, where they did indeed play against Don't Ban Viego in the first round, and that team was able to come out on top with a 2-0 victory. I think Next Level Esports got a little bit more in the tank. I'm excited to see that from them in this series.
Of course, and I have to wonder, Gordo, because I want to focus just a little bit on the Yuumi pick, the sub, all of that. Zolani coming in as a Masters player here. Don't get me wrong, Masters players are great. The rest of the team, Grandmasters and Challengers that are starting. So I'm almost wondering if they're putting Zolani on a camp with a pretty high upside. If you get those shields, they can come in super influential, build the right items, and relatively speaking, a low downside. It's not like you can get caught out by Yoru on the Leona or get caught out by those Chains of Corruption. It's a little bit easier to potentially manage. Now, I believe, Gordo, correct me if I'm wrong, that we're running True Fearless here?
We are running True Fearless, absolutely. So no Yuumi after this game, that's for certain, and none of these picks going to be available for either team for the rest of the series. So we'll see how Contingent can navigate this first game. I really do think like Next Level Esports have got a dream draft for themselves this time around, though. I think such powerful picks in this Skarner, this Varus, and this Aurora, a really strong lane duo down bot. Fiji's going to be able to hold it down in top lane no matter what happens, especially if we get into some lane swap shenanigans. That's the other thing here, Hummus, is we are still on the patch where lane swapping's alive. Some would even say it's alive next patch, but you know, depending on what the teams want to do, most of these teams have likely at least scrimmed against it, have at least experimented with it a little bit, and there will be scenarios where we get lane swaps on through, and Scion, one of the best at doing it, does incentivize Next Level Esports to go for something like that.
Indeed, we'll see if they do. And I mean, who knows? Maybe the thing is they've been scrimming and practicing it, and they're like, we got 2 days left to execute this before patch comes out. Let's see what happens. On the flip side, we talked about the Next Level Esports draft. Yes, it looks great. K'Sante, Maokai, Syndra, Sivir, and Yuumi. I have concerns, Gordo. I talked a little bit about how Sivir's not super strong. Going to be helped out by the Yuumi, of course, having that extra shielding, on hit healing and all of that on you. Going to be super helpful in lane. The problem is, at the end of the day, if you've got Dumpa on the Skarner coming through that wall trying to gank you and turret dive you, there's only one. He will get the lockup on the one if he's only aiming for one, because Yuumi, most of the time, going to be untargetable. And so there's a lot of danger for rewins down in that bot lane. Syndra, Aurora, I like that. The Maokai feels a lot less influential to me in a map than the Skarner. Maokai has always felt like the jungler who kind of is just around to press R. Get that nature, not that, is it the Nature's Grasp? I think it's the Nature's Grasp.
Yep, it's the Nature's Grasp.
Yep, get that out, lock down some people, which is great, but there's a lot more that Skarner can do than Maokai can do. I am happy to see K'Sante in the top lane. I'm a big fan of K'Sante's. K'Sante is arguably one of the best blindable top laners in the game right now. Also, just able to take somebody out of the team fight. I'm gonna be looking for Ember's target selection on that one, because you want to be able to take the damage out of the fight, go all out, send them over a wall, do something like that. But I have a lot of concerns about the feasibility. And to me, it seems like the win conditions for Next Level Esports are a lot clearer and a lot easier to get to than Contingent.
Yeah, they really need rewins and Dank to really pop off here on the side of Contingent, I think, to be able to overcome the position this draft has put them in. There's going to be 3 really strong tanks that you've got to work through, and you're not bringing a lot of damage in the jungle position, in the support position, even particularly in the top lane. You know, K'Sante now a little bit more lethality centric, so he's going to dive into the back line, get that bonus lethality from the ultimate in the all-out form, and be good at being able to burst out squishies, but being able to work through a full tank Scion or a full tank Skarner probably going to find itself a lot more difficult.
Just a little bit there. I do like that you mentioned the 3 tanks for Next Level Esports, because I hadn't even gotten to that point in my head of thinking through the draft yet. There are 2 tanks for Contingent Esports in the Maokai and the K'Sante if they both choose to build tank. Obviously, both of them, Maokai can build more AP heavy than tank, and K'Sante can build more damage than tank. I think they both need to build tank this game, because you need something to protect your Syndra. I'm going to be looking, yes, for the Sivir in the late game, but really for that Syndra to come through, land those Scatter the Weeks, get the CC down, because it's not just the 3 tanks for Next Level Esports. It is the shocking amount of CC that their team comp can put forth if they can layer it correctly. I mean, if Scion hides in a bush, you've got the knockup. Leona is one of the top CCing support champions right now with, I mean, the Solar Flare, but then also the Zenith Blade, all of that. Aurora is going to lock you down with Between Worlds. Skarner, well, it's just Skarner. The best thing he does is throw a giant rock at you. And then Varus, if you're trying to front to back team fight, he's just going to land Chains of Corruptions and freeze you all up. This is going to be a very, very hard team fight to take for Contingent Esports if they ever try and take one.
Yeah, and the traditional Sivir comp is just group and win. You're definitely going to have a whole bunch of mobility available to that Sivir between On the Hunt and the Yuumi constantly giving out the zoomies, but non-committal engage, plenty valuable here for Contingent. They've got that Nature's Grasp. They've got access to Scatter the Weeks, so they can fish for engage opportunities onto some of the more squishy targets when those opportunities present themselves. It's going to be up to Next Level Esports to play a little bit more disciplined than that, make sure that they're getting the fight lines that they want. And then I think they are pretty heavily favored, like you called out there, Hummus. So we will see how they're going to be able to execute this early game. I think Contingent Esports, though, definitely going to want to find a way to get things rolling so they don't have to take those team fights in an even game state. On to Summoner's Rift for game number 1, though. Everybody going for the 5-man spreads, and does appear that neither team are going to be attempting any of these lane swap shenanigans. Fiji already taking control of that little ping brush, and we got the pause.
Well, I was gonna say a line about how we've gotten tired of talking about what they could do. Now we're gonna talk about what they are going to do as they do it. I lied because there's a pause. So
Happens.
is what it is. I am a little disappointed actually, Gordo, that we're not seeing the lane swap or at least a level 1 Scion G's. Because like half the point of bringing Scion is just stick him in a bush level 1 bot lane and have him wait. And then if they're not expecting it, you can get an easy couple kills there.
For sure, for sure. Oh, looking at where the junglers are right now, looking like both are thinking about topside starts, are thinking about getting involved in that bot lane, and we're through the pause. There will be a little freeze afterwards, but should be able to get into the action here before too long, no problemo. Going to check on out now what both of these teams have to present for us in the early game, because this channeling of recalls actually, look at the map. Look who's recalling. It's Fiji, Idol, and Yoru. They might be doing the swap after all.
Maybe they did show in their original lanes, and if there's a time to do it, it is kind of now. We're still a little hiccupy through that post-pause pause. Gotta love it. And if they do, I'm excited. If they don't, maybe they just want to see the fancy skins in the recalls. I don't know. Maybe that's just a me thing in a solo queue game. We're gonna see if those recalls do get fully channeled through here. There it is, Gordo. You called it. I think you wanted to see it. You're gonna see it.
I mean, I definitely think, you know, Next Level Esports, they've certainly drilled this plenty of times, and they definitely do have the draft for it with this Scion. I think Scion going to get a lot more out of a lane swap situation than the Cassante will, and you're also going to struggle, I think, a little bit more to punish this Scion when you're Sivir Yuumi. The upfront damage just isn't that substantial. Got to have a little bit of awareness to not get hit by a stray boomerang blade or anything, but as long as you do keep your wits about you there, and as long as you got the Soul Furnace stacking up, I think you'll actually be able to get away with this with a little bit of farm.
We will see how it works out for them. We'll be keeping eyes on the XP that they get, any plates that they get, all of that good stuff. And, well, the good news is the Yuumi was expecting the early bush cheese from Fiji that I talked about. And we'll see what happens here. We're going to do the split screen here. You got your bot lane on the left side, your top lane on the right side. I put those in quotation marks because we're there. Also, Gordo, completely unrelated. I'm slightly upset it's not pizza delivery Sivir.
I get that. That's usually the go-to for me as well. But this time around, just going to be rocking. I don't even know which one this is. I'm a little out of date on some of my Sivir skins, but a good trade found by Rewins and Zolani to start things off here. And already a little bit of a lane advantage picked up by Dank as well. Clearly landing some of those early Dark Spheres and just keeping heal at low HP.
Indeed, we'll see the Electrocute proc get fired off by heal as well. And I did mention how I wanted to see Syndra have those impactful scatter the weeks. Obviously in lane it's only gonna be one person, not a multiple person scatter the week, but she's landing them. Heal gonna have to at least threaten the recall early because they're fairly low, and we'll see how that develops. It's just like 2 CS in the lead right now, maybe half a level of XP if that, but it's a lot more than that when you look at lane tempo and all of that.
Definitely keeping the crash in here towards Maces in the top lane, and going to be having the same occur on bot. Fiji doing his best to scoop up whatever bits of farm he can find, and he hasn't had too much trouble with it yet. Do want to call out that Dumpa is finishing off his first clear here, whereas Mountain just a little bit slower on this Maokai. So Dumpa going to have a little bit of a tempo advantage that, see how he uses. Maybe both just clear their scuttles and go home, but there's also definitely a world where it can get off that gank just a little bit faster than the team might expect.
Eventually, we'll see what Dumpa looks for right now. It will be that first Scuttle Crab, as you called out. And Rewin's almost out of mana down there on that bot side. Zolani doing a great job at separating, getting some good poke down, using that range versus melee. Top side, we are definitely going for a dive because I can see Dumpa coming in around here. Are we?
Yeah, you thought about it. I think Yoru tanking those 2 turret shots definitely hurts their ability to go for it. There's a world where Yoru takes the aggro first, procs the aftershock, uses Eclipse to take a couple of shots without too much damage, and then can hand it off to Dumpa. The 2 initial shots turn the odds of that succeeding just a little bit lower, so they just decide, oh, you know what, we don't have to play anything risky like that. We can just reset Dumpa, continue to clear out the camps, use this tempo advantage that we've got, and see if we can get ourselves down into a different lane at a different time.
Speaking of that, looking around, picking up the rock is going to be looking for Rewins here. Aww.
Spell Shield, yeah, hell of a drug. Gets you out of there. Means that you cannot connect that Decimating Smash, one of the more telegraphed abilities in the game, so would be unfortunate if Rewinds couldn't predict that one. Does manage to throw it out in time and get himself out to safety. Dumpa did show going to be some information available up on this top side, but that's not going to stop Idle and Yoru for looking for some of these aggressive trades.
Not at all. Heal getting some more even trades here against that Syndra. Down 7 CS is fairly negligible, holding pretty even on the XP. On the bot side, thanks to the recalls of Rewinds and Zolani, Fiji getting some of that much needed CS gold, now up about 10, which is a whole lot. Like, this is one of the more successful lane swaps I've seen overall in terms of keeping things even in a Cassante that we thought wasn't going to do necessarily as well. And I am seeing the next level esports recalls coming out, so I believe, oh no, they're just resetting to go right back to the same lane swap. We're not rotating back over yet.
Yeah, not going to contest this initial Dragon take either. Reborn Mountain going to be able to secure that one. Going to expect to see a trade for Grubbies, so you definitely don't want to drop your pressure up on the top side if you want to make that early objective trade. Taking these both on spawn will, of course, cause that second spawn to be simultaneous, so that'll really be where we start to see. Well, actually, that'll be where we see even more trades, assuming this trade does end up going through. We'll see if Reborn Mountain wants to try to push for a little bit of an early advantage, but currently looking like he's just going right back to clearing.
Indeed, one turret plate taken by Rewinds and Zolani so far in that. So we're even 1-for-1 in the lane swip turret plates, say as they take down a second. For the most part, yes, Next Level initiated this lane swap. It's not going poorly by any stretch of the imagination, but I don't think it's getting them the leads that they were necessarily hoping for. Across the board, pretty much dead even where they're supposed to be in terms of XP, CS, gold, all of that other good stuff that really does matter in this early game.
No, but at the end of the day, it does make the jungle path super predictable. It does make the lane state super predictable. And that means that they didn't get any kind of successful gank off on the Contingent Esports side. So at least Next Level Esports, you know, with a read on what the game's going to look like later on, with how much we think they're pretty well set up to be able to play out these team fights, given the damage profiles on Contingent, they may very well be able to get themselves into a solid later game position, as long as they can be confident that they know what's going to happen and that nothing's going to get out of control here for the first maybe 12 or so minutes. Already Dumpa looking for this invade, though, challenging for the blue buff, getting some good damage, going to sting him there with the Impale. Yoru and Idle here for the backup. Smite comes through, stolen blue buff, and secured first blood. Next Level Esports on the board first.
Stolen blue buff adding just a little bit of insult to injury. Like, it's bad enough that you died to that, got pulled away from your team by the Skarner, couldn't find anything else, and then the blue buff just stings a little bit more on top of that. Is it going to make Next Level Esports have that 600 gold lead here at 8 minutes in? And we mentioned our concerns for Contingent. Obviously, if they're behind, a lot of concerns. If they're neutral, a lot of concerns. They really, really need to be ahead. So now they got to start thinking, how can we start pressuring these lanes just a little bit more? We've seen Syndra taking really, really good trades onto heal, and the Nature's Grasp is going to be the start of that.
Oh, really nice snare there. Stops Heal from being able to use the Between Worlds. Can't get to the other side and gives that kill over to Dank in the mid lane. Great timing from Reborn Mountain on the Nature's Grasp to secure a kill.
And I get that's like the reverse caster curse, because I said they needed to do that, and then hey, look, there it is. Syndra should be able to get hopefully a couple turret plates off of that, or at least a pretty safe recall. And you're still not even in gold. There still needs to be more there to get yourself going before that mid-late game, where we really are concerned about their ability to execute this team comp. But you know what, Gordo? It's a start. It's a really, really promising start, and they can feel good. Fiji gonna get a turret plate down there as well with the Demolish proc, and it's looking okay right now.
Yeah, eyes on Dank, who's doing a really good job in this laning phase and just got that kill. Already had built up a decent lead, and that's going to go even harder now that Heal was taken down for that kill and a wave was crashed into the turret. Going to be doing a good job of keeping up those splinters of wrath on the passive bar, and they can hit those power spikes a little earlier than expected. It'll give them that extra team fight power that the team might be looking for.
Indeed, we'll see how it goes. The wards coming out. So much vision at this level of play. I'm so excited about it, Gordo. I don't very often get a cast this level where like vision's a true thing, and the wards are out, the control wards are out, the vision's getting cleared. It's wonderful to see. And you know, across the board, we're taking the recalls. First items should be coming out here relatively soon for a lot of our key players. And with that, here comes Dumpa.
Ooh, Chains of Corruption connected, so this is an easy pickup. Dumpa, yeah, he was already here, figures he might as well get his name on it, and this might even be first turret and the first feat of strength going over to Next Level Esports. They may need one more wave to be able to work their way through it. The Grubs can only do so much, and you've only got 3 of them, but already going to have to call in the cavalry. The bot lane rotating on up alongside Reborn Mountain to make sure that this turret doesn't fall, and maybe they'll even get a chance to punish Idol here. He flashes away, but he's already been slowed by the book. Just manages to get outside of Nature's Grasp, though. Yoru going to create a little bit of distance here to make sure his AD carry is able to escape. It will cost him his life. A sacrifice from the Next Level Esports support to make sure Idol gets out of here alive.
And at the end of the day, that is your job as a support, but it cost them. They had to bring 4 up there. Sion able to get another turret plate and proxy the wave. Ember rotating down as the Cassante. Heal getting to push in their full wave, get about half a turret plate there. And honestly, if you're Yoru, you're feeling pretty comfortable in that death. Like, yeah, your KDA is not going to look great at the end of the day, but your team got a lot for your valiant sacrifice there.
Absolutely here. That does mean that they are going to be able to get out of here, having secured 4 plates in that top side. That's a big injection of gold, but going to respond in turn, getting a couple extra plates on top for Rewins. Rewins? We'll go with Rewins. So Yoru found inside of the river, going to have to back away here. Reborn Mountain giving the numbers advantage to that Contingent squad.
Reborn Mountain up there after taking the 3 grubs. The answer from Dumpa will be the dragon, so we're at 1 dragon apiece. 1 set of grubs apiece. Also 2-2 in that feat of monster slaying. So we're gonna be looking for the next neutral objective, which will be that mountain drake in for about 5 minutes time there. And we still haven't had any feats get claimed. We're 2-2 on the kill board. All the turrets are still standing. So when these feats start falling, they're gonna start falling fast, and it should be the telltale sign of the way this game's looking to go.
Yeah, ooh, Ember getting a much better side of the trade this time, going to pull Fiji over to the other side, but Heal has already come on in. Ember forced to flash away from that 2-fold Hex, but the Weirding still gets plenty of damage out. Yumi Ultimate comes on through. Final Chapter trying to snare on up and slow on up this Sion, but he will be able to walk away in time. Fiji disengages the play. There will be no kills coming on through. More members dedicated bot side for Contingent, though.
And as a reward, Idol did find that top tier 1 turret right before that play kicked off there. So first turret will go over to Next Level Esports. Not really looking like it's going to be able to be answered by Rewins in that bot side either. Like, it's slow, but here comes the ADC and the support here to answer. And it almost feels, Gordo, 12.5 minutes in, I think we're going back to normal lanes.
Yeah, it's about time for that to come on through. You know, we've gotten 2 spawns of Grubs, we've gotten 2 spawns of Dragon, we traded them back and forth, but now that that's all done with, now that the timers become desynced, now that the objectives start to shift what form they take a little bit, it's time for these guys to go back to keeping the side laners in the side lanes and keeping the bot lane as protected as possible. I wouldn't be too surprised to start to see them move over towards mid as we get a little bit later in the game. But so far, a pretty close early trade. Next Level Esports with a faint lead, but not going to be enough to guarantee them the whole game at this stage by any means. Do also want to highlight Fiji appears to be a boss Sion here. He's got himself the Tiamat, he's got himself the Tunneler, he's going for a little bit more of a split pushy build, a little bit less of a full tank build like the kinds we saw from Alorum on this stream yesterday.
Fair enough. Also, do want to highlight as we're running out of the lane swap and circling back around. Never mind.
Oh, wow. Full all-in from Rewins and Zolani here. They think they can take down Idol in the 2 versus 1, and they certainly can. Just doesn't have Yoru close enough, doesn't have the backup from Dumpa, and they're able to run him down. Dumpa flashing in, though. Nice positioning on the Solar Flare. Double stun comes through from Dumpa with the Impale, and Zolani is caught outside with nobody left to hide in. It's a double kill back over to Next Level, while Fiji getting collapsed on the top side, gonna have his work cut out for him, trying to escape from this one. No ultimate available means he will likely drop, just trying to pump out the damage in the meantime, but he will be going down underneath this turret. The question is just what can he accomplish with the passive? Can he farm one more wave? Yes, he can.
Indeed he can, and he took long enough and drew Reborn up there enough. The bot tier 1 turret should fall in favor, and
critical heal there, or shield rather, coming through from Yoru, going to secure the 1-for-1 heal. Does end up falling at the end of the day anyway, so good move by Dank to be able to keep things even.
Indeed. And I thought I had a chance to say something, and they were just like, nah, we're gonna keep Gordo talking here. Like, we love his voice, we love what he has to say, he's gonna keep talking. Across the board here, gold lead through all this has stretched to 2,000 in favor of next level. We get replays.
You gotta love having Caddy on production. Production value through the roof for day number 2 of the open qualifiers. Will be a trade back and forth coming on through, as we saw. Very, very close window there for Dank.
It was, and it was pretty, and it was gorgeous. And I mean, right now they're looking good. They were playing towards their mid, and late game they ran the lane swap. It had Fiji just a little bit ahead in farm, in level, just a little bit. And at this point, we're looking towards the mid lane here, because bot lane's in the mid lane. Mid lane tier 1 turret, the last tier 1 turret standing for Contingent Esports. And Gordo, I think you and I both know how important that mid tier 1 turret is. When it's standing, the map is a lot more closed than when it's fallen.
Definitely true. And now the dragon spawning here in about 30 seconds. That control, if they're able to secure it, would be huge for them. So you're going to see both teams start to battle for that mid lane priority. See who's going to be able to come out on top. The wave clear from the Sivir is substantial, though. Already has the Untal Wild Arrows completed, so going to help them out with that extra wave clear. But Idle on the Blade of the Ruined King, not having too much trouble dealing with the wave either.
Indeed. Rift Herald has spawned here just a little bit ahead of Dragon. And as a reminder, we're 1-1 on the feet here. We're looking for whoever claims the next jungle objective, either Chemtech Drake down on that bot side or Rift Herald up on that top side. They will claim the full feats of strength. They will claim the fancy boots. And we'll see. As of right now, Rift Herald was started, walked off of, and Dumpa feeling very confident to just start that dragon all by himself on the bot side, gonna have the support. And it doesn't look like there's gonna be much of a contest for this one here, Gordo.
Yeah, both teams seemed a little insecure about what they wanted to do around that Rift Herald. Contingent, the first ones to the objective, but it seemed like they needed to take a couple of recalls before they felt comfortable challenging for it. Meanwhile, Dumpa, on the bottom side, thought about starting the dragon, came up for Herald, now goes back to the dragon. But at the end of the day, Next Level Esports, they keep more members on the map for longer. They get to walk away with a free objective, and it's dragon number 3.
Indeed, and because of how long it's taking to potentially look at the Rift Herald, they will be able to also contest the Rift Herald when Contingent decides to start it, if Contingent decides to start it, if Dumpa doesn't want to start it. We've seen the trades, Grubs for Drake, Drake for Grubs, back and forth. There is no trading anymore, and the pings are coming out, and we're going to see that fight.
Yeah, pulled over the wall as Mace is looking for a little bit of a fight onto Yoru here, but Dumpa and Idle here for the backup. They know that they have the numbers advantage on this side of the map, as 2 just showed bot. Will be a disengage there from Ember, all out, going to be on cooldown. Half the Casante's health going to have been sacrificed for that one. They do rotate up Reborn in time so they can start fighting for mid prio. It's not enough of a delay that it allows them to start off the Rift Herald without any issue, and now it's going to be time to try to defend this turret for the rest of Next Level Esports.
It is that tier 1 mid. The talking about it opening up the map goes both ways. Gordo, whichever tier 1 mid turret falls first here. Both of them still looking pretty healthy. However, with the 4 members that Contingent had in the mid lane, Heel's just been running down top lane. Like, just gotta push that wave. I'm gonna get my farm. I'm gonna look good. And now May's gonna have to respond up there and pull some people apart and separate the protection that Contingent had in their numbers.
For sure, and now it's 4 members of Next Level Esports in and around the Rift Herald. Recall being channeled by Mace as So should be an opportunity to just get in here and take this Herald. They secure themselves the Scuttler. They're even going to dip their fingers a little deeper into the cookie jar here and see if they can get themselves an extra blue buff. Doesn't look like the forces for Contingent are quite in a place to be able to contest this. So they burst it out, they walk away with it, and they say, hey, we don't even need this Herald. We're just going to try to strangle out the jungle a little bit more. Look at Dumpa's CS lead.
Look at Dumpa's gold lead. Like, yes, the 50 CS comes into play, so too does the extra kill, but thanks to our wonderful production, we do have gold up here. And if you're Contingent Esports, your shining light right now is that Syndra has about a 600 gold lead there, not getting traded away, and it looks promising. But if you're Next Level Esports, Fiji's on top, Dumpa's way on top, and your bot lane's holding even. And the further you go, the tankier your team gets, the happier you are with this.
For sure. So can definitely see why they've taken a little bit more of a dragon-centric approach to the game. They don't really concern themselves too much with this Herald. They obviously don't want to give it away for free, as it will end up knocking down one of their turrets. There's already all three of them on blinking health bars, but they also don't need to prioritize it and start to introduce any kind of randomness, any kind of chance into the game. They know that if they just keep playing it slow, controlled, calm, that they will likely end up on top. So they are happy to continue to push the game further and further in that direction.
Indeed, they are. First item completions out across the board, starting to look towards those second item completions. Notably, Rewinds does have that second item completed in the Phantom Dancer down there. Idol on the Vera still only at 1.5 with the pickaxe and the recurve bow. So if there's an edge in the bot lane in terms of itemization, it comes now. But the problem is we're not really laning anymore. We're 20 minutes in. We're looking for those objectives, and they may not prioritize Rift Herald over Dragon, but they're still going to take the Rift Herald if the opportunity presents itself.
For sure. They're going to be able to lock this one down. This should be the tool that they can use to help crack open that mid-outer that we talked about, and will really give them a little bit more space to then move down and try to take that dragon. They'll be able to keep their vision up. They'll be able to see if they're approaching from mid and limit the different routes that they can really take from that lane to get towards that objective. So setting up for 50 seconds in advance where the next dragon spawn is going to be, trying to secure themselves a second Chemtech Drake and keep chugging along towards that Soul. Still, very calm, controlled game from Next Level Esports, and they're just building themselves a bigger and bigger lead as time goes on.
I do want to draw attention down to the bot side of the map, not just for the Chemtech Dragon, Soul Point you so nicely pointed out, but also since we're 21.5 minutes in, Otacon has spawned on the bot side of the map. So it's not one, but two neutral objectives that'll be up down there now in about 20 seconds. And if you're Next Level Esports, you're liking this because you got 3 members down there and Contingent Esports has none. In fact, having to commit 4 up towards the top to deal with the raging Fiji there. Gonna ult away, and you mentioned the split push build has the whole, the Titanic Hydra build. And he's doing exactly what he needs to do. He is drawing that attention away and letting Next Level Esports, the rest of his team, do what they need to do on the neutral objectives.
Yep, just being annoying and doing a good job of it as well. It looks like it's going to be 4 members Contingent commits towards the top side for this. So this is the freest dragon you'll get to see in a competitive game, and they don't really get anything out of it. They don't get any CC landed. They can't actually chase any further. They brought up Rewinds and Zolani to try to make something happen too, and he just wasn't ever in a position to actually take any damage from them. So now the Rift Herald gets thrown down in mid. They're going to look to just force onto this one with all of the might that it generates. Not quite able to outpace Rewinds' wave clear, so gonna hold strong for a little bit longer.
But just a little bit, and meanwhile, as they've rotated over to mid to deal with that Rift Herald, guess what, Gordo? Fiji's still trucking along by himself up there.
Yeah, it's just going to force somebody to be up there to answer him the whole game long. It looks like they're really going to put Dank on that duty for most of the game, which is fine. Dank is happy to keep farming up, but like you said, Next Level Esports, they're just playing the map a little better. They're the ones who are walking away with the objectives that they want. They still have control over bot side, which is where that voracious Otacon is spawned. Here they go, trying to get onto Fiji again. I think they're going to get him this time.
Maybe he will get the turret for that, though. Oh, Gordo, the flash.
Yeah, I mean, you probably wish you just didn't push that button. If you're Fiji here, but that's okay. He can afford to go down once or twice while on the split push. doesn't really sacrifice anything. Is the only objective on the map is that Otacon, and Heal is keeping that bot wave pushed up. So they're going to try to rotate down to this area, but I think Fiji's probably just going to be back up too soon. 20 seconds to go. If they start it right now, maybe, but Next Level Esports is not going to make it easy.
No, and Fiji will have his ultimate off cooldown when he respawns. And Gordo, I wanted to backtrack just a little bit. We had the Syndra hanging out in that top lane to counter Fiji. And yes, you're not wrong. Syndra would love to keep the farming. The problem is we saw the gold lead. We saw really the one solid lead that Contingent Esports had was in that Syndra. And that means that you need them in the team fights. You need them there to help further your lead. You don't want them stuck in a lane holding off Fiji. It's mildly concerning that that's the answer they have to a very well-played Sion.
Yeah, and you could throw Maces up there if you really wanted to, but he's going to get shoved in pretty readily. He's not going to be able to clear out the waves super fast, so Fiji's going to end up with some damage onto your objectives. That is the call that they make, at least for this Otacon take, but will they be able to get over here and contest? I mean, they're just coming out of the base right now. They're too late to the party. Next Level Esports secure themselves a free Voracious Otacon, and they can tune this over and try to get the Baron. They've timed this perfectly. It's right at 25 minutes, right on schedule.
And hearing the words free Otacon should be absolutely terrifying to those players. The rotate will come through. Heal getting to reap the rewards of having that bot wave pushed in as hard as they have, as often as they have. And the rotates, yeah, they're coming through slightly towards Baron, but the first goal is finally taking down that last tier 1 turret that's still standing in the mid lane. Will fall nice and easy, and now that map is opened even more than it was.
Yep, and just call over Heal. Going to be an opportunity to start up the Baron before this objective expires. I would hope that they do at least. Looks like they're going to take a recall to get one last purchase, restock on all of their items and all their wards, but I think a redeploy up towards the objective, just try to just hard force it, take a fight with Contingent if they challenge you, and don't if they don't. So walk away with the free Baron. That's pretty easy call for Next Level Esports to make here. And again, it just says they did a really good job of timing this one. They had the ability to try to force onto an Otacon or something earlier, but they say, what's the point if we can't cash out with a Baron? So they wait for the Baron to spawn, then they take it, and now here they go.
Clearing out those control wards. There will be the Scuttle Crab up there, so Contingent will know they're around. And they're going to respect that just a little bit. Now, it is Baron, it is Otacon, but it is also Soul Dragon here in just about a minute's time spawning on the bot side. So they might just go Otacon into Baron into Soul if they get the what they want. And as of right now, it's looking like they will. This might be the one team fight we're looking for, because here comes the teleport.
Yeah, Yoru just going to start this engage right off the bat. They say, fine, we can take the fight whenever you guys want to. Heal in a good position on the side. They're going to try to focus down Maces first. He's nearly going to be dropped. Idle getting focused down to the opposite side. He's going to start to withdraw. Unleash Power going to give them the chance to force a second member out. And the fight is turning in towards Contingent. It's just unfortunate that they're not walking away with any of the gold for it. Sting comes through on a rewins, forces him right into the side of the wall there. And Dumpa's going to turn the fight back around out of the carry. Just like that, most of the damage going to be gone for Contingent, since there's no Unleash Power left for the side of Dank. He's gonna get taken out as well. Reborn and Zolani, the last two standing, forced off the play. Next Level Esports with a team fight win.
And Next Level Esports already respawning back on the map because they didn't die, Gordo. You pointed it out wonderfully. Contingent Esports, they found the kills, but it doesn't matter when you don't get the gold off of them. You get a couple petals and a little bit of gold, but not the full gold, and definitely not any shutdowns that are very coveted. We're going to forgo Baron in place of Soul for right now, and poor Cassante. Holy damage.
Yep. He had a good angle there, throwing himself into the backline, trying to create some space, gave Raywins the space to pump out the damage, and that might have been a different fight had the Otacon buff not been there, but it's there, and it made the difference, right? They get Idle back really, really quickly. They get the same for Yoru. They don't feel like they lost too much. They came out with an even higher gold lead than they had before, and now it's time to cycle back, do the Baron again.
This time they won't have the Otacon buff, notably, if Contingent Esports can take that good of a fight again. But I mean, now you're up against Chemtech Soul and all of the extra healing and such that provides the team members. And the pings are coming out on Baron. The Baron is definitely the next focus. Elder Dragon will be here in 5 minutes. And meanwhile, Fiji doesn't even have his teleport up. Doesn't need it. He is the split push king this game.
Yeah, the TP difference is going to give them some pause as they look at that Baron, but look at the damage he's pumping out here. I mean, this guy has 3 items, so he's a full item up on where Fiji is right now, and certainly it's just showing its stuff right here as he just continues to pump through the damage, clears out the wave, does a little bit extra to maces while he's at it, and is able to just keep that push going. Now, though, Maces has recalled. The Baron is going to get started, but Next Level Esports would be at a member disadvantage if he were to TP up top.
Indeed, they would. Will find the tier 2 turret while Ember's walking back into lane. Baron started, drew him, and went, all right, we're good. We just wanted to get a tier 2 turret. And, you know, there is a lot of strategy, Gordo, in starting Baron, faking the start of Baron, more or less, and saying, we're not actually going to take this. And as I say that, they're back on it. They are going to take this Baron and draw this out because they know that Fiji's going to win in the bot lane the longer they keep everybody else up top.
Yeah, he's just locked in combat, but the Baron has been being started up. Here comes Nature's Grasp trying to snare up some of the members of the team. They're just going to turn right onto Reborn and melt through him. Meanwhile, Impale connected onto the bot lane, and they're going to join their jungler. Mace is TP'd in, already missing way too much of his health bar, though. Will just be a 3rd kill into Idol's pocket while Fiji rampages into the base. Next Level Esports win on both fronts, and they crack open the base.
Indeed, they do. Teleport coming in from heal. They might not have the minion wave quite yet, as the teleports are also coming back from the Syndra, but they're looking for it. They've got a minion. Can they find the Syndra? They can. The clean ace, the dabbing penguin, the killed Aurora to turret, but it doesn't matter because Fiji, he may be 1-2-1 Gordo, but that man knows how to whack structures.
Absolutely does, and that's going to be game number 1. Next Level Esports in full control from start to finish. They run the map, they secure the objectives, they tear through the turrets, and it's the split push of Fiji that gives them the pathway into the base to end the game. Only one lane is what they need to go through to actually be able to close out. Big game for Next Level Esports, and they're going to start off the day 1-0.
They sure are. And as a reminder for everybody who's joined us, maybe partway through this cast, this is day 2 of NACL Open Qualifiers. But more importantly than that, it's a double elimination bracket, and this is the lower bracket, Gordo. We're running best of 3s here, full fearless. And so for Contingent Esports, they are 1 game away from losing out on their hopes and dreams in this open qualifier. And if you're them, and if you're them after that game, you have to go back to the drawing board. Because I got bad news, Gordo. That game was lost in draft more than anything else.
Yeah, I think you definitely see that, right? Next Level Esports, they didn't have to do anything fancy. They didn't have to do anything special. They just played their game. And really, I mean, arguably even played it a little slower than they had to, but they had the freedom to do so, right? They knew that, hey, we're going to be the much stronger team fighting team for the vast percentage of this game. Yeah, maybe Siver's going to do the most damage in the lobby, but not going to be enough to really work through the likes of this tanky Skarner, this tanky Leona, who's going to be able to help with the lockdown. And they just end up with so much more gold from all the structures they're able to take and all of the counter jungling that Dumba is able to do.
And I do want to give credit where credit's due, Gordo. I doubted the Sivir. I doubted the impact the Sivir could have. And I mean, almost 21,000 damage. That Sivir put up the numbers that you needed to on an ADC. So I'm not going to doubt the Sivir. It wasn't enough. You know, out-damaged their lane opponent by 6,000, but it doesn't matter. The damage graph isn't actually in favor for the most part of Next Level Esports. They literally won because they just didn't need Fiji in the fights.
Yeah, the damage dealt in the laning phase and things like that, it's not what matters. What matters is building up enough of a lead, showing up to the one fight that matters, winning it handedly, and already work had been done by Fiji to set up for them to be able to turn that right into a game win. And that is what they end up with. Next Level Esports feeling confident coming into game number 2, but full fearless format, all 10 of these champions off the board for game number 2. And we're going to have a second draft coming up here before too long. We're going to take a quick break before we get there, so we will see you guys in just a couple of minutes. Welcome back, everybody, to today's broadcast of the NACL Open Qualifiers here on Aegis. Once again, Gordo here, joined by Hummus, and we are getting into game number 2, where Next Level Esports find themselves up 1-0 over their opponents, Contingent Esports. And it's been a big fall off from 7th seed, Hummus, to potentially an elimination game for Contingent here. They are going to have to turn things around and do it fast if they want to stay alive in this bracket.
It absolutely will. And the turnaround, Gordo, at least starts in draft. I mean, we talked a little bit in the post-game breakdown of how the draft just wasn't good. They got out-drafted, and the Next Level Esports did what they needed to do. They played for the long game, and they executed flawlessly. Fortunately, if you're a Contingent Esports fan and you're hoping to see the 7th seeds, come back and rally, we are in full Fearless, so you don't have to worry about Fiji split pushing Scion. Bad news, there's still champions like Yorick out there that do basically the same thing. And Contingent Esports, they're going to start with their jungler again. It's going to be the Sejuani. And I got to say, like it a lot more than the Maokai. I like pretty much anything more than the Maokai, though.
For sure. Yeah, Reborn Mountain has been playing stuff like the Volibear, stuff like the Vi. I do also want to call out, I mean, this guy's been drawing perma Fiddlesticks bans. We kind of blew past it in game number 1, but it was banned there, and it was banned both games yesterday as well, up against Drop Dead Gaming. So clearly those who have done a little bit more OPGG research than myself know Reborn Mountain for his Fiddlesticks, and have been taking a lot of steps to make sure he doesn't end up on that one. Just maybe if we get a game 3, we might end up seeing that one come through. But the Zeri Lulu, so a little bit more emphasis again on a hyper carry bot lane with an enchanter support. I like this one a lot better than I do the Sivir Yumi in 2025.
I'm not sure I could have liked it much worse than I liked the Sivir Yumi. And I mean, to Rewin's credit, the Sivir was good. For a Sivir where we talked about how it isn't super great right now and all of that, and for pairing it with a Yumi, it was a good Sivir. It did the most damage, it held, it was solid. This wasn't solid enough. Maybe this time the hyper carry, the Zeri, the Lulu, it will help get there. The flip side for Next Level Esports, going to be presumably the Corki Rel down on the bot side of the map with the Jin Zhao in the jungle to counter the Sejuani. And I like that too.
Absolutely here. So going to find out what we find for the second phase of the draft here. This Corki, I would think most likely going to be going over to heal in the mid lane. They definitely have put it there before. They like it with some of these AP junglers is where we've mostly seen it from Next Level Esports, but they've already locked the Xin Zhao, so not going to be an AP jungler this time around. Maybe that's a sign that this one could be going over to Idol. We'll find out as the draft goes further. Clearly not buying that it's 100% for heal on the Contingent Esports side as they ban away his Azir, and he does snap up the Sylas, seeing that there is a Sejuani and a Lulu to be able to steal some ultis from. Those are some great selections.
Yeah, sure are. We're going to look to see what Contingent Esports goes, because now your champ pool has pinched for the remaining 2 picks, not just by Fearless, not just by the bans, but also what ultimate do you want used against you? And I'm not sure the Talia ultimate is hit with the Weaver's Wall there. That's a pretty powerful one if Silas can get his hands on it and use it properly there.
Yeah, definitely going to give that extra roaming power, but does mean he's going to be rolling up with no ultimate. It's sort of calling out Lightning Crash is a great ulti to steal as well from the Zeri. The AP scaling on that goes crazy. So lots of options here for Ol Heal in the mid lane if he wants to go for them. This does likely lock the Corki in the bot as well. It means that Fiji is going to have counter pick. This is a guy who's willing to play some spicier stuff. He sees that he's up against the Mundo from Maces, so already a little bit of a non-traditional selection here. What does Fiji go for? He showed us a Singed game yesterday. I don't know if I dare to hope for a Singed to be picked into Mundo. That feels like it's not the matchup you want, but could go for something else. Could go for plenty of different spicy options. Lots of ranged selections that could definitely make Mundo's laning experience bad, but instead he just goes for the Ornn. You know, it's an elimination game. Okay.
I mean, technically it's not an elimination game for Next Level Esports, because this is the best of 3, so they're up a point. So, you know, it's not lose this and you're done. As fascinated as I am by the Singed pick, going safer, going more reasonable with the Ornn, going more long-term scaling with the Masterwork items, it's a good, safe call, Gordo. And I mean, at the end of the day, this is NACL Open Qualifiers. Like, Sure, you throw out the Singe day one. What's the worst that could happen? Maybe not a day to play where you're on the lower side of this bracket, as you pointed out. Now, drafts are locked here for these two teams. And I got to say right off the bat, Gordo, I'm not running screaming from the Contingent Esports draft like I was in game one.
Yeah, I think they definitely have got themselves a little bit more space to play with here. And now they're the ones with the double tank comp and the hyper carry to come on in here, where Next Level Esports, it feels like, probably have to get the ball rolling a little bit earlier this time around. You've got the Xin Zhao in the jungle. He's going to spike super early, and you really want to make sure that you use that power spike to get yourself some advantages in gold and objectives, and maybe not let the game go too long this time. I think if you let it drag on into the late 30s, into the 40 minutes, that Zeri is going to start to get real painful, and might even be able to navigate through these team fights just deftly enough. I'd be able to space out stuff like that Xin Zhao, stuff like that Silas, and keep yourself safe to be able to potentially come up with the big win. So lots of eyes on Rewins in this game number 2 to see if he can help Contingent Esports find their first win in this open qualifier.
He was the shining light up in game number 1 there on the Sivir when you look at it. So, I have confidence now. It's interesting to me that we talked about Next Level Esports with the Xin Zhao wanting to press the pressure early game, because you've also got the Ornn, and Ornn's power comes in that later game when the Masterwork items come out and all of that. So there's a very fine window really between before Xin Zhao falls off but still while Ornn's online and helping out the team. And we know from game number 1 that Next Level Esports can play slow and methodically. They did that. They did it very well in game number 1. I'm not sure. I'm not as familiar with this team. I'm not sure if they can pick up the pace in game number 2 and keep it that little bit snappier that you're kind of wanting to see.
Yeah, I think with dump on Xin Zhao, they should be able to. I really want to see some focus on mid jungle. I think the matchup favors Next Level Esports, and I think if you can get Heal into a strong position, he'll be the strongest side laner on the map, and you can use that as a tool to play around, even if you maybe aren't exactly the strongest in the front-to-back team fight up against something like a 2 to 3 item Zeri. You can at least try to force some pressure into the side lanes, at least be winning on this Silas, and try to find yourself some good flank angles and good fights that way.
You sure can. The good news, Gordo, for us at least, is I'm feeling a lot less doom and gloom heading into this game, because in game 1 it felt like I was like, I know how this one's gonna go. There's not really a whole lot of if they can do this is for Next Level Esports. Like, it was kind of just didn't feel good coming out of draft. This one feels good. This one feels like it's a 5v5, and it's going to be a lot less draft based and a lot more skill and execution based. Because it feels bad coming out of draft at this level and just knowing that you're fighting the uphill battle straight away from draft for the entire game.
Absolutely here. So I think they come out better for wear this time around, and they can already be a little bit of a boost up as far as your confidence coming into this game at number 2. Still some very different looks from this Contingent squad than what we saw yesterday. I think a lot of that comes to this swap at support, right? Zolani coming on in, really a difference from what Lionize showed us yesterday, where Lionize was coming out with stuff like the Elise, stuff like the Nico, a lot of these really kind of AP aggressive supports. Now they're going to Enchanters instead, and that means Rewins is changing his champions as well, going for these scaling picks like the Zeri and the Sivir instead of stuff like the Callista that we got to see from them yesterday. So this team has had a little bit of a 180 on its identity, at least in the bot lane, compared to what they showed in day number 1. Didn't quite work out for them in game number 1, but we've talked to death about how miserable that draft was. Now that it's a little bit more even footing, I'm very curious to see what this identity looks like for the Contingent squad.
And, one thing I want to highlight here is both of these teams lost we lost 2 games yesterday, and then for Contingent Esports, they lost in their game today. And we talked a little bit heading into game number 1 about that mental fortitude that you need. So Next Level Esports, one of the shining stars and the comebacks and the Cinderella stories, almost, if you will, of OQ's last time. Contingent Esports, the 7th seed coming in. 7th seeds don't get eliminated in a double elimination on day 2, Gordo. Like, it doesn't happen. Now, for Next Level Esports, they came out today, they proved that they could hold their own. I think their mental's fine. That's not what I'm worried about. I'm worried about the Contingent Esports mental. Because day 1, you're 7th seed, you get upset, it's rough. Okay, fine, move on, brush it off. It's the next day. Next day you come out and you get beat hard in draft, and they need to cling onto what went well. The Cinder was decent. Rewins killed it on that Sivir for being a Sivir paired with a Yuumi. Like there's a lot of these little gold nuggets that are buried in the sand for Contingent Esports. And if they focus on the sand and the giant heaping pile of sand that it is right now, they're not going to do very well. If they can focus on those little gold nuggets and they can pull them out, then they're going to be fine. And we might see a third game in this series. But Gordo, that's a big, big if for me.
Yeah, it definitely is. So that's going to be a big question on what they can perform like and if they can turn their fates around from what they've shown us so far here. But get over back to Next Level Esports for a moment just to talk about it's interesting to see Fiji go for this Ornn and go for a little bit more of a late game insurance plan. It feels like it's not exactly what I've seen out of him most of the time. He was drawing a lot of Cassante bans and stuff yesterday. You know, he plays a lot of the meta, but he's also willing to show off a little bit more when the opportunity allows, stuff like that Singed that we got to see yesterday. But I think this does speak to, you know what, they just want to play a really clean, really standard game up against Contingent Esports. They come in thinking, hey, we don't have to throw any crazy curveballs to be able to win this matchup. They consider themselves the favorites, and I think they're showing that they're justified in doing that. So it's cool to see a lot more, calm and composed Next Level Esports compared to even what I got to see from them in ACL last split. Really showing some good growth here as this squad has been together for, longer than most of the teams in this OQ, having played together for 6-ish months or so now, maybe even a little bit more than that. They came together a bit last summer. So excited to see them continue to develop, and if they're able to win here, we're going to get to see them again up against Wardens later today.
6-ish months doesn't even feel that long, and except in league terms of actually having the full 5-stack and competitive for 6 months, it's like a flippin' eternity, man.
Yeah,
I mean, it's working. The comms are clearly there. Game 1, I didn't see a whole lot of each other. They clearly know each other. They know what they're doing. They know how their team's gonna play, and we're starting this off early up here in the top side. Mace wanting to prove that game 1 was a fluke and that he normally doesn't get that outplayed.
Yeah, it was a tough lane swap scenario for him last game. It doesn't. Oh, actually, it does look like Next Level are going to try to get themselves into that same scenario. So it's, once again, the top laners spot each other. Fiji immediately starts channeling the recall, and he redeploys himself towards the bottom side. There's a recall coming in from Mace as well. Will they go for this swap, actually? Will Zolani and Rewins walk up top? It looks like they will. They seem to smell that something's cooking. They're actually all going to mid lane, and they're just going to wait to see and then redeploy.
And apparently we're just going to take the long way to top side by way of mid lane for Mace up there. And we will have the lane swap scenario here again. And we do also have Yoru hiding in a bush level 1 with the question mark coming pings coming out on the bush they're in. And if there's a time that we know this, I think it's now. I think this is where we figure out that we're getting another lane swap here.
Yep, they do indeed go for it here. And just chilling out in mid for a little bit. Still going to end up with a lane swap in their faces one way or the other. But Lulu and Zeri definitely a duo with the double range that can make things real uncomfy for the likes of an Ornn. So Fiji definitely going to lose out on a lot of farm, and Big Mace is going to find himself in a very similar position.
Definitely, and I think what's important for Contingent Esports is they're the ones who got lane swapped on, and it doesn't necessarily matter how poor the situation is for you as a top laner if the situation for the opposing top laner is equally as negative. The real problems in the lane swaps come when one top laner gets way favored in it and comes out. So I'm okay with these both being way worse scenarios than they were in game number 1, as long as they're equally poor.
Yeah, I am okay with the same. So gonna be a stun up coming through from Yoru, just trying to get some harass onto Mace underneath his turret. And here's the dive from Reborn, right on schedule. Zolani tanks up the turret, has to use the summoner heal to stay standing. Rewin's gonna take a second shot. Fiji finds the first blood. Fiji finds the double kill. It all goes wrong for Contingent, and Fiji standing strong 1 versus 3.
I had worries when you started the sentence with Zolani tanking up a turret shot, because Gordo, that's a Lulu. Lulu's not supposed to be taking up the turret shots.
That's a 3-minute feat of warfare right there.
Not only that, but Gordo, I was saying lane swaps work when the top laners both end up in equally bad situations. Or being 2-0 and getting some free CS in this lane is not a bad situation. We're going to see bot laners top side and top laners bot side after all that. And Contingent Esports not how they wanted to start this game.
Yeah, no, and I mean, Dumpa's loving it right now, right? He gets to just continue to full clear on this Xin Zhao. He's way ahead now of where Reborn Mountain is, who just cleared out their first red buff. They spent so much time in that bot lane dive, so Dumpa just gets to get ahead for free there, and he's like, all right, dude, my lanes are great. My lanes are monsters. They're coming out ahead on both fronts. I don't even have to do anything. Heal, maybe gonna equalize a little bit. Be careful there.
It is a Sylas. The Sylas healing does go kind of crazy sometimes, Gordo, but not turret shot crazy. Fortunately, Heal gonna play it a little bit safe. And now the question is, you're 1,000 gold down. This is clearly an accelerated game from Next Level Esports, which is great. You know that you can play faster. What now? We gotta fix it. We gotta figure it out. We got to kind of sort it out if we're Contingent Esports and figure out what we want to do and how we want to get back into this game. So at this rate, the game's not going to last long enough for Rewins to become that hyper carry Zeri that we were talking about in the pregame.
Yeah, it's going to be very difficult for them. Oh, it's a flick back in there from Dank, trying to get some extra damage onto Heal earlier on, and doing a good job at it, finding some of that early harassment before the Sylas really gets to have that one-on-one duel potential. He's underneath the turret. He's going to end up going down there if he's not careful. Forced to flash back away. It's a trade of flashes in the mid lane one-on-one.
It could have been more though, Gordo, and I loved the camera swapping to top lane right there, so we kind of just had to wait to see if the kill notification was going to pop up, because, woo, baby. Yoru and Idol pretty content to try and freeze this wave a little bit here, get the slow push in, and make Zolani and Rewins come to them. They know they've got a little bit of the early power, and it's like, yeah, come to us, what of it. Meanwhile, I want to draw everybody's attention to what's coming out of base right now, namely Reborn and Ember both heading towards this top side here. Fiji is being left alone on the bot side of the map. Gonna start with the turret plate, gonna look for more, but you gotta get something out of this. If you're gonna pull everybody up top, you gotta get something out of this more than just 3 grubs.
Indeed you do. So, let's see what they can make happen. So far, that first dragon's still standing, so they could try to rotate down. Idol getting aggressive here. They're going to find the stun out of Zolani. Dumpa is the first one towards the gang, and Zolani going to drop in the 2-on-2. Rewins has his shock blast, or blocked rather, by the side of Yoru, and they are able to clean that one up. Yes, the Void Grubs do in fact go over to Contingent, but it's Next Level Esports continuing to win in their matchups and continuing to funnel gold into Idol.
And now it's a 3v3 instead of the 4v3 it could have been. And yeah, there's a Mace up there on the Mundo, and yeah, it's a Mundo, it's not scary, but if we draw our attention to the bot side of the map, who's that? Oh yeah, that's Fiji on the bot side of the map where he lived in game one, getting the split push to his heart's content, and now the pings are coming down on a dragon, and his wave is so far pushed, he's going to be completely hunky-dory. Gonna take the recall, gonna let Idol and Yoru take what they want on the bot side now that he's started it up, and that looks clean to me there, Gordo.
Definitely. It's now a really strong advantage for Next Level Esports, particularly in the bot lane. Yeah, Fiji got that double kill, but you know, he's Ornn. He's just gonna get some tank items maybe a little earlier than he would have otherwise. It's not gonna make the biggest of difference, especially to how he performs in the 1-on-2. But oh boy, these kills on Idol are going to be tremendous. They're going to get onto that Triforce way earlier, and they are just going to be so equipped to be able to keep these fights going and finding ways to be able to force, like a Mace is outside of the lane. You can see they're just trying to proc that Mundo passive, get that bonus damage, and he just can't fight it out. If he just stays there taking damage from Gatling gun and continuous autos from Idol, he's nearly taken down, forced to ultimate right away, right after he hit level 6.
And the rest of the team coming down here, but yet again, Gordo, that means that Fiji is left alone with a turret, and to a certain extent, I feel really bad for Fiji, because this has got to be the most boring game this man has ever played. like his laner like DC'd mid game because he's not up there, so he just gets to kind of do things. Will teleport in for a little bit of this team fight here, though. Perhaps unnecessary, but just wanted to feel helpful. Because if you're Fiji, this is kind of like, I'm gonna hit this structure all by myself some more.
Indeed, indeed. So, going to be tough to be able to really be able to find yourself angles in these fights if you just keep getting forced out of lane and keep finding yourself falling to a greater and greater CS disadvantage. They're even going to change up their solo lanes now. They're going to try to send or Dank up top, but already a fight breaking out of the bottom lane. Rewin's taking a lot of early damage with the force flash there. Numbers advantage still just a little too strong for Contingent. Next Level Esports are forced to play respectfully and back away.
Indeed they are. That said, they're playing respectfully in a 2v3. And when you're playing respectfully in a 2v3, as long as you don't die, which they didn't, to their credit, that means that that extra member is getting something more elsewhere, and it's feeling good. A large part of early game gank, Scordo, is you have to get something for it. Like if you're a jungler and you're going to commit the time, or you're going to commit the mid laner roam, or whatever you're committing to the gank, you have to get something out of it in order to make it worth it, and not just end up with you having lost more across the map.
Yeah, it's a flash from Yoru, but that's definitely not the something you were hoping for here. Heal connecting another abduct on to Dank in the mid lane, getting about half of their health for it. Going to be traded back onto aggressively, but I mean, even if they stun themselves, the Kingslayer has to be cast, and it's not in time. Instead, tries to recast the abduct to try to get the kill. Doesn't heal, gets taken out, and that will, in fact, be the first kill of the game to Contingent.
Will was there in support from Rewins and Zolani as they came up to kind of figure out what they were going to figure out here. And now we've got the lanes. I don't even know what our lanes are doing anymore, Gordo. They're all over the place. We've got laners in lanes, ladies and gentlemen. I can tell you that, and I can also tell you they're not in their normal lanes.
That is certainly the case here. Another spawn of grubs coming up here. Next Level Esports already having secured that first dragon, but the timers are so desynced that both teams can full send it towards the second spawn of grubs, and it does look like both teams are plenty interested. Already going to be looking for this big chunk on a Mace's Idol. Takes a lot of damage for it, but they're going to full commit using the Magnet Storm from Yoru, as well as the Giant Growth from Lulu, keeping Maces alive. They just can't work their way through this Mundo fast enough. Dumpa may have over-indexed into this topside play, stunned up by Reborn Mountain, forced to re-engage. Here comes the Zeri to keep the numbers advantage chugging along, and that's a kill to Contingent Esports. Fiji now has arrived. Casts call the Forge God, looking for a little poke damage. Look at Dumpa. He's over in the middle of nowhere, behind enemy lines, proxy farming, because this fight has already broken apart. It's such chaos, Thomas.
It is, and at the end of the day, Contingent gets one more kill because Dumpa managed to execute. He executed. It was flawless. And I might have questioned a little bit early on what he was doing, not teleporting up there, because he did have the teleport to match Dank up there into the top side. But he didn't, and for his trouble, he's getting 2 or 3 plates. Yes, they're losing grubs. Yes, Contingent Esports will now have all 6 grubs for this game. And we could get to a point where that matters, where that turret damage hurts. But for right now, Next Level Esports has their eyes on the feet because, well, they got the 3 kills really, really early on this game. We commented on that one already, and if they can find that bot side turret, has 1 plate remaining, plates are up for another 2 minutes, then they'll get the enhanced boots. Not only will they get it for the second game in a row, but also significantly earlier than last game.
Yeah, 4 plates in total taken in that bottom lane turret, so that's going to be the emphasis once the turret plates drop off here in a couple of minutes. Another dragon spawning in about 1 minute. Do expect Next Level Esports to emphasize that as well. Wow, Fiji cashing out on these plates as well. It's just the lane assignments have been a little slow from Contingent. They've been shifting them around so much, and they're just clearly not, planning them out far enough in advance to where they're always able to respond. So it's costing them a lot of gold in the form of these turret plates.
It is, and Next Level Esports, it seems that the name of their game right now is we're just going to send people whatever lane is empty when they recall. Because right now we've got Idol and Yoru in the mid lane this time, and they've been all over the map. And the thing is that it's not that I'm not sure it's, never mind, hold on.
Yeah, Fiji pulling the trigger a little early there, doesn't manage to get the knock up in time, but he was 1 versus 4. He's not supposed to stay alive here, but this is going to be first turret to Next Level Esports. This is no members in bot lane. Silas left alone. There goes the feats of strength. Nobody has the tier 2 boots to really be able to check it out yet, but they'll be there, I promise you. Oh, really well played by Next Level Esports, and now they're set up to be able to take this dragon as well.
They are, and also not only that, but if we look at the jungle CS gap, I want to highlight that for just a minute. Reborn, still no item there. Dumpa does have first item and an almost fully completed jungle pet. Yes, this top tier 1 turret will get traded. It will get traded for a dragon. Not only that, Dumpa about to have enhanced smite by the time that a Rift Herald comes up. We should have a higher smite than Reborn. Holy cow.
Yoru full sending it 1 versus 3 here, knows that he is heal, whiffs the Sejuani ult that he hijacked away, but they're looking for this fight anyway. Reborn is low, has no cooldowns, and they see Re-wins and decide that they're going to use every resource at their disposal to take him down. Heal comes up with the kill. Next Level Esports with another one on the board, their first in a while, and Dumpa trying to make this dive happen in mid lane, just says, all right, Ember, you press that ultimate, that's enough for me, I'm gonna walk away.
Or not walk away and in fact go back in.
Not that far up. Okay, Idol's able to finish him up. I mean, should have let him walk away. He got a little too far outside a turret. I don't know what to say, Ember. I'm sorry.
Top tier 1 turret will go down as well to the turret slayer Fiji. That's not his nickname. It should be after the way this series has been going. And it's slightly painful here, Gordo. We're only 14 minutes in. Rift Herald hasn't even spawned yet. Gold lead 2,500 over to Next Level Esports, but it's not just the gold lead. It's what the gold lead is from. It's the CS differences in the top and the jungle. It's the turret advantages. It's the dragon advantages. And yes, this is slightly accelerated from game 1, Gordo, but it is the exact same strategy we saw game 1. We're going to get the objectives we want to get. We're going to focus on our dragon stacking. We're going to split push. And Contingent Esports has not found a way to answer that yet.
Yeah. You know, Hummus, I'm a big Magic the Gathering player, and a mistake that's really easily to fall into in that game and card games like it is to just get too comfortable with the role your cards normally play and just start shorthanding what they do in your mind. Feel like it's a little bit of that here, right? It's easy to shorthand Mundo ultimate to KO ultimate. Just assume like, yeah, you just press it and you become invulnerable. It's not actually what it does. You can get burned through in time. And I think a little bit of that hit Mace's there. As Idol's getting collapsed on, it's going to be Dank sending his ultimate on through, but instead the fight's breaking out in the bottom lane. Next Level Esports the one starting it off, but he'll take you so much damage. Forced to flash out defensively. Dumpa returning fire in his own right, though, and Yoru doing his best to disrupt anybody from being able to reach this silence. Ultra Shock Laser doesn't quite connect, but Dumpa still has to be playing in the front line to make sure the rest of the team's not going to be there. Reborn throws out the Glacial Prison, not quite able to connect it. Dumpa going to throw back through, the wind becomes lightning, trying to find some sources to be able to actually find and engage, but 3 versus 4, they just have to play defensive. They're going to back away.
And it's 3 versus 4, which means, Gordo, that we have to ask the question, what were the other 2 members of Next Level Esports doing? The answer, Fiji was pushing the top wave in, got Dank's teleport out, which is now giving Idol free reign over that mid lane wave and push. Going to be looking for that turret. Yes, Contingent Esports did just find that bottom tier 1 turret. However, gold lead is still at 2,000, and they didn't win. They didn't get kills in the fight. That was not, at the end of the day, you talk Magic. Magic's a numbers game. League of Legends is a numbers game. At the end of the day, the numbers did not add up to that being worth it for Contingent Esports.
Absolutely the case here. So that is going to be a Rift Herald picked on up by Dumpa. So they give up all 6 grubs, but they show up for the big one and do secure it. That would have been the objective feat of strength, but that, of course, no longer relevant, not necessary. They already got 2 out of the 3, but worth noting, they do indeed get 3 of 3 there. Now, minute 30 on the next dragon, probably going to be the next thing on folks' mind, and they will be able to use that Rift Herald to make it a little bit easier of a take, worth pulling out when they already have all 3 outer turrets down. It's tougher to find situations where you can use Rift Herald on an inner turret, but if you can, the payoff is big.
Yes, it absolutely is. And, if nothing else, Gordo, there's always the tactic of Rift Herald as a distraction. Of, hey, Soul Point's up in a minute, and we want to draw their attention to somewhere else. So we're going to leave Fiji with this Rift Herald here. They have to answer it, otherwise he's going to get some turrets. And while they do that, we're going to take this dragon. Not necessarily saying that Next Level Esports needs to do that. They are clearly quite competent at drawing distractions, as is without Rift Herald. But, you know, big purple Shelly is always helpful.
For sure here. They are going to try to close things out in short order if they can. The Dragon is going to be the next target. 30 seconds to go on that respawn. And Next Level Esports certainly going to be favored to be able to take this one if they are going to be the first to the objective. And they've already got all 5 members in and around the area. They're going to try to make a play on the Heal here to try to earn themselves an advantage. Good dodge from Heal to be able to avoid that Glacial Prison, and now he's got one of his own to be able to turn this fight back on towards Sejuani. Takes down the jungler. Next Level Esports now with a numbers advantage. No jungler to contest their smite on this third Dragon.
Notably, Gordo, I mentioned it earlier, even if the jungler was still around to contest the smite, does not have a big enough smite to do it.
Going to be engaged on. It will end up being a kill onto the support, but the rest of NLE arrived to the scene, and they are ready to fight. Over the wall goes Dumpa, looking for Rewin's the last carry, but Rewin's able to actually kite it out in time. Fiji flashes in a searing charge to try to find the Zeri. Will not quite be able to get him. It's going to be no mana left for Dank here, and he realizes it, has to back on off and give this Dragon over to Dumpa on Next Level Esports.
That could have been a lot worse for Contingent than it was. A couple members surviving on low health. Yes, they lose the Dragon, but it could have been worse. Also could have been better. Quite a few members of Next Level Esports with those blinking health bars as well. And across the board, Gordo, we're at a 3,500 gold lead, and Contingent, they are running out of opportunities to take a team fight, a good team fight, that will sway this game back into their favor and this series into their favor.
Definitely. So, going to be big stuff for Next Level Esports.
Oh.
A pause does come on through. Hopefully not going to last too long. All right, and there we go. It's not too long at all. We're right back into it.
That's the equivalent of like a cat walked over a keyboard or something. And
yeah. Somebody's
I like
at the door.
pauses.
It's just an Amazon package.
Oh, around here, Amazon packages that just get left on your doorstop. We don't get porch thieves around here, mainly because we don't have porches. Anyway, at 20.5 minutes, Otacon is up on the map as we sit through this post-pause. So that will be there. And much less bloody game. No, much bloodier game than game number 1 at this point. Excuse me.
Oh.
I believe we're going to see Ruinous Otacon. If I can.
That is the Ruinous one. They have different icons on the mini map.
I didn't know that. I just kind of went, it's Otacon. Hit it. Good.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that'll do it for you, to be honest. They're both about equally difficult to take. But yeah, Ruinous is the purple and red one. Voracious is the orange one.
So Ruinous will not have the Guardian Angel effect that we saw. So oh no, Yoru.
All right, getting a little found in the mid lane again. Give over some permanent health stacks to Reborn Mountain on the Heart Steel, but other than that, not going to have too many lasting impacts. Already Dumpa coming back off his reset here, and Heal constantly looking for violence and feeling like he is strong enough to be able to challenge this Mundo. And he's right. He's got 2 items. He's quite strong at this stage, 4-1-0 on the Sylas. And with a stolen Mundo ultimate, he can fight him all day long.
Lucan hasn't even popped that maximum dosage yet. So he'll keep that in his back pocket. Oh my.
Yeah, big fight here for Heal, and yeah, he'll just end it out as soon as he sees old Mace's pop the maximum dosage. He'll do the same, and they'll both regen back up, and now they can fight again without ultimates later on. Mace's knows this. He's going to take himself a recall, be prepared to potentially challenge or whatever this next fight is going to be. The Rift Herald was spawned. It's walking down mid lane right now. We'll get a charge off. We'll get a little damage, but they're going to be able to execute it. They're not going to actually be able to finish off an inner turret off this. Just about 50% of the health.
Nope. Instead, walking down towards Otacon. And what I didn't realize here, Gordo, was just how in an XP hole Ember is. Level 11, Fiji, Heal level 14. That doesn't matter right now, because he's not there. But you know, Mace, we said the Mundo, we kind of liked it, we didn't hate it, but this isn't a Mundo that can help. This isn't a Mundo that can win. This is a 3-level down Mundo.
For certain. So, not going to have that one-on-one potential even with the Heart Steel built up. You know, sometimes can use that E bonus AD damage and stuff to be able to win out on some one-on-ones in a surprise fashion, but that opportunity not really going to be too available here going into the Spirit Visage to amp the healing a little bit. That'll do some work to help, but really going to need to start catching up in the CS department before you'll be able to challenge too much. And the timer is ticking here, Hummus. It's 90 seconds to go until Soul Point for Next Level Esports, and they can get themselves that Dragon Soul relatively early on. He's set up with extra fight power to try to close out the game.
That's not the only timer that's ticking, Gordo. It's also 90 seconds to go until Baron spawns. Now, Next Level Esports, we know they like taking Otacon right around this time. They did it last game. They pivoted it into a Baron, and then they pivoted that into a Dragon. Now, here, Otacon, maybe a bit less able to take it. They do have 4,000 gold extra in their pockets. The pings are going to come out. The teleports are going to come through. But in the next minute, we will have 3 important objectives up on the map here for them to take. And if they get a pick onto somebody on Contingent Esports, it's going to be even harder to challenge for these than it already will be.
Yeah, definitely. I think it would be a mistake for Contingent to send anybody up to the top side for the next couple of moments, as you know, even though Baron is going to be spawning, giving over that Soul Dragon is a huge threat. The Otacon is right there as well. So instead, the fight's going to break out on the bottom side. Dumpa in the front line, going to be the first one getting focused on, going to have to pop that Crescent Guard and create a little bit of additional space. It's Heal on the flank, looking for an angle, and Yoru comes in with the Gravity Storm to find the engage. 4 members picked up, and Heal follows up to execute. Q2 re-wins, chased on down by Idol to get picked up for a double kill, and he'll be able to clean up the rest of the fight. No problem. A triple kill in total. Everybody down except for Dank and Yoru. He engaged the fight. He might as well get to finish it. Gonna try to take down the mid laner in a one-on-one. He finally drops, but Dumpa finishes the fight for him. This is Dragon Soul and an ace to Next Level Esports.
Slightly disappointed that Yoru went for that solo kill onto Dank. It doesn't much map. Oh my god, they FF'd?
They FF'd?
I didn't know you could do that.
I mean like, it's a mechanic in the game. It's a mechanic in the game.
Like, I knew it was a game mechanic. Lord knows I played plenty of solo queue where the forfeits happened, but I didn't know you did that in competitive matches, Gordo.
It's not the first time it's ever happened. It's certainly not common, but you know, I don't think that is going to have any bearing on the result here. I'm seeing questions about whether it's legal. I don't know, but what are they going to do? DQ him? The tournament's over. Contingent Esports is done. So, Next Level Esports, congratulations on the win. They will be moving on to face Wardens here in just a short bit of time.
They sure will. For that series, not sure there's a whole lot worth talking about in the post-game breakdown, Gordo, here. So here's what I will say. First and foremost, good games to Contingent Esports. They came, they saw, they showed up, and they tried. Gave them that. Double elimination, they're out. For Next Level Esports, got to be feeling pretty good heading into their next match against Wardens. For that match, that will continue to be here on this channel, but Gordo, I was never supposed to be your caster, and as much fun as I've had, and as slightly upset as I am that it got cut just a little bit short from me, I gotta give you back to who you were meant to be with, Gordo. So Slayer will be joining you here on Aegis for Series 2 here tonight. But, I mean, shout out Next Level Esports. I'm gonna stick around, because now I'm invested in this team, and I want to see them win. And I want to see what happens when they can't just kind of walk down Objective Boulevard to victory.
Absolutely. Well, thanks so much for joining me here, Hummus. It's been a pleasure to have you on the broadcast. We'll be back before too long with game number 2. It will be Quest Hodgson and Dante's Wardens who are going to be facing off against the Next Level Esports. So got a little bit more celebrity in the OQ this time around, and it's not just a Double Lift's team. Excited to see how they'll be able to perform up against this Next Level Esports squad that is looking disciplined and powerful coming into day number 2. We'll see everybody fight in a short bit. Wardens didn't have a game before this, so the break shouldn't be too long. We'll see you soon. Welcome back, everybody, to today's broadcast of the NACL Open Qualifiers here on Aegis, where we are getting into our second match of the day. It's going to be Next Level Esports taking on Contingent. Never mind, sorry. It's Next Level Esports taking on Wardens. I was reading right off the stream title there. My bad. I'm Jordo. I'm rejoined by Slayer for our second
I'm alive.
Back aboard, Slayer.
Thank you. As much as I'd like to get into breaking down these teams, I did think we got word that if draft's already firing through, we can hop on and check out the draft that's going on. But yeah, this is a fun matchup if you talk about, you know, the real nuts and bolts of this new qualifier format. It's the fact that we've got some of these big-time content creators in North America trying to make their stake for the NACL, and the Warden squad is one of that. Obviously, all the Dantes fans going to be watching across the board to see if Wardens can keep their run alive with their ragtag group of Quest and company. Still funny to me that Quest is out here playing, but hey, the guy still gets to do the drafts, and now he gets to show off some of his hands as we speed through this first draft. And
I don't believe Quest is going to be playing based on the lineups we're looking at here. So I think it's going to be, and they have used different lineups for every series now. I do believe Wardens is going to be running. There's going to be Evan Lai top lane, Dantes in jungle. It's going to be Soroinai. I'm gonna go with Soroinai in mid lane. This is a newer face to us, at least. Slayer, Insanes at 80 carry, and Realms at support. And we are already well underway in this draft. I see Ivern and Rengar locked in for Wardens. I can't see Next Level Esports. There we go. This is gonna be Zyra in the jungle and Leona at support with this Varus. Okay, so we get to see the Varus come back through here on the NLE side. We already saw them play against the Varus, sorry, in their game one win here. So lean on that one this time around. Gotta like that. Ivern Rengar, you know, I heard the warnings from Gordo. I tapped into some of these Wardens drafts when I saw this matchup was coming for Sunday, and yeah, so this is for any OQ historians, right? This is a combo that you might be familiar with from the Ducky Getters. Now they ran a bit more crazy, right? Like they ran Ivern in the jungle, they ran Rengar mid. You can kind of shift Ivern around and let Rengar maybe jungle. It's gonna be chaotic. You can see Wardens, they're just really going all damage here. As we get through the second phase, they go for the Gwen, and NLE are gonna lock in that Scion from Fiji that was just an absolute monster in game one. So yeah, I mean, it's kind of hard to really deep dive and analyze the Warden's composition, because I think they are really just playing for pure chaos at this point. They're trying to be as chaotic as possible. I mean, for God's sakes, they've drafted 3 junglers. You could say they could drafted 4 junglers if you want to fit Gwen in there as like a pseudo half jungle pick. So this is gonna, it's one of those teams that's trying to create as much chaos on the Rift as possible and to confuse NLE, who definitely have the more cohesive composition as we complete this game 1 draft. Yeah, for sure. So Wardens, yeah, unfortunate that they kicked off drafts so fast. We didn't get a lot of time to talk about it, but they have been going for spicy stuff the whole time. So this is their 3rd series here in the OQs. They have been playing wild compositions, especially in the bottom lane. So this time around, the fact that well, I mean, you know, never mind, it is pretty wild in the bottom lane. I think it's probably Jarvan's support if I were to make a guess for Realms. Or maybe here. Ivern, like could is Ivern it could be Ivern Rengar bot lane if you really wanted, which would then be Corki mid, Gwen top, Jarvan jungle. Maybe that's it. I'm kind of selling myself on that. Yeah, there's only one way we'll figure out, so we'll see exactly once we get on to Summoner's Rift here. But to kind of like lay the stakes for both of these teams, I think is an important thing to do if we get into this series. Obviously, Next Level Esports, right? Like, Gordon, I think you and Hummus did a really good job talking about how these guys have been stuck together for a while. I remember Hummus was making the realization, like, oh my God, 6 months doesn't feel like any time at all. But in the esports world, like a roster staying together that long in NA, tier 3 is definitely a rarity. And it's good to see that they are still sticking to their identity we saw in the ACL and those wins, you know, with Fiji playing these weak side top lane tanks so well, and the rest of the team kind of evolving enough damage around the draft. It actually kind of reminds me of shades of Gravity from yesterday, if I'm going to be completely honest. Sure. They don't play stylistically that different to how we saw Gravity play. And yeah, it's just for this NLE team, it's, you know, putting some momentum together as a squad. Some of the
highest ranked squads in this qualifiers. Like AMI is my perfect example. The AMI roster has been together forever, and they've only been getting better since like the start of 2024. And they're doing pretty well in this qualifier now. I'm always a fan of teams that are willing to commit to a core and see it through for at least like a year. So NLE in a spot to really push themselves to new territory, obviously in a qualifier it's a different format, but also as a team holistically, because you got to think the qualifier success was one of their main goals.
For sure. So now we've established that a little bit, and we can check out the comps. Are you serious, guys? What is this? All right, this makes me think it's probably Evan like gonna play bot lane and Insane's gonna play top lane. Like these are so. Here's the thing about the other thing to know about this team, right? Is and you know what? I gotta give a shout out to Quest here because I kind of agree. Quest has realized the truth long ago that mid laners are the best League of Legends players. So this team has like 6 mid laners on it. A ton of these players traditionally do play mid lane, and so they're just gonna be sticking mid laners in a bunch of different roles. It looks like that's kind of where we're ending up here, as we end up with players just rotating around to different positions.
Yeah, and for Wardens, right? Like, I don't want to fully speak for Dantes, and I can't fully speak for the team, but I definitely am very familiar with, quest-led squads are a lot more about, I guess I'd say, the journey instead of the goal. They like to have a lot of fun. They're kind of here for the camaraderie of these tournaments. We talked to, Quest teams in ACL. They really talked about how they're just here to have fun with their friends, and qualifiers, they don't approach like in the most serious manner. And yeah, like a comp like this is going to reflect that. They're here to have fun, cause chaos, and that's what Wardens are here to do. So it's really interesting to see these two clashing ideologies of the approach of like, NLE are looking to be some of these next big guys threatening for big qualifier teams, and then Wardens is here with Dantes, just trying to have as much fun as possible with as many mid laners around Dantes as possible, because a jungler's best friend is a mid laner. So
absolutely is. And yeah, so a couple of junglers here as well on this team. So to recap what I was kind of referring to earlier, Evan Lai, traditionally a jungler. He's set to play top lane, but maybe bot lane for this game. Insane's traditionally a mid laner, set to play bot lane, but maybe top lane this time around. Our friend Siroinal, Siroinal is also a mid laner, or at least is registered as a mid laner, but we've never seen this guy really play in comp before. So going to be learning that in real time. Then, of course, there's also Elias, IYBC, 902Q, and Sora all on the bench, who are all also mid laners. So, I don't think we're going to get to see any mid-series substitutions here, but we've gotten to see a few different faces on this team so far, and it's really given us a lot of these interesting drafts as well, on top of the kind of for-fun nature, perhaps, that you could point to for this team and the content focus for this team. They also just have players playing positions that they aren't traditionally used to.
All for the fun of the qualifiers, so we'll see if it's going to catch out NLE in this game once we get live onto the server, which I believe we're just waiting for the spectate delay to get us through here. The goals of these comps, though, for NLE, it's really what you saw from them in the last series. It's just a stock standard. We have a pretty tanky frontliner. We have reliable engage with a Scion and a Leona. And we also have reliable peel in the kit as well, with, Heal having the ability to Emperor's Divide to create some space, Chains of Corruption create space. Dump a Zyra is going to be the main contributor of creating enough space here. NLE are kind of just going to look to, I would assume they're going to go for, a pretty team fighting oriented or early game. Idol, I hope, is going to be on that on-hit Varus to allow himself to be kind of a scaling threat. And as long as they don't get bodied by wherever this Rengar is going to be jumping out of brush, getting caught by some of the chaos Wardens is looking to create in the early to mid game, if NACL Esports is ahead, even, maybe even slightly behind by the time we have to start fighting over Octagon, over Baron, fighting for late dragon positioning, where those traditional team fights everybody knows comes out, this comp should just kind of run over Wardens. They are not designed to 5v5 in my mind in any escapade whatsoever, outside of maybe an initial pick with this Rengar J4 flying on in.
Yeah, so, and by the way, thank you to Quest. It's Soroinai is what we need to remember. That's an I, not an L. We're getting caught by the classic IL differential. Soroinai going to be the name of the mid laner coming on forward. And interested to see how he's going to be able to do up against Heal in his debut. We just saw Heal have a pretty solid series, maybe some little over-aggressive moments here and there, but all in all, performing well alongside the rest of Next Level Esports. And Dumpa on the Zyra, definitely going to be a very valuable pick for him. Loves to be on these farming junglers. Did a really good job of getting himself substantial leads in both of the games that he started out the day with, and we saw how well Fiji was able to pilot the Scion too.
Yeah.
So definitely looking forward to what these two players are going to present for Next Level Esports, as these teams looking to see what they can do and if their experience will be able to give them the edge over Dante's and the Wardens.
Well, it's time to find out, Gordo, as we are live from Summoner's Rift for game number 1 of potentially 3, with your OQ lives on the line here, all the way down in the second round of that loser's bracket. What sort of chaos can the Wardens bring to Summoner's Rift? I'm certainly excited to see, as we do get some. I mean, look at these summoner choices, man. We got 2 flashes. 2 flashless champions, and that is Evanlai on a cleanse Rengar, but NLE, they stacked up their own death brush, but I don't know if that Zenith play was what you wanted, Yoro. First blood over to Evanlai. He's going to use the Ivern brushes to keep jumping over and over again. You throw the Zenith blade, you're going wherever it takes you, Yoru, and it took him right to the gray screen.
Oh man, I mean, this is one of those cases where you're so used to, if if a Scion lands a charged up Q at level 1 from a bush, bada bing, bada boom, you win the fight. But that's just not the case when you're up against a Rengar Ivern. Evan continues to bounce forward, continues to get that damage, and they manage to win out the fight. Does look like it's that swap we expected. So let's put Evan down at 80 carry. Let's put Insanes at top lane. I think the Gwen is going to the solo lane, Slayer.
All right. Somehow we're not going to get, I mean, don't even call it lane swap shenanigans. Not really. So we get to see that Rengar Ivern.
You don't need a lane swap when you're already role swapping the players. Insanes is already a jungler playing top lane. You don't need to throw in lane swaps on top of that.
I do like the spot too, because Insanes, oh boy, drops out immediately. Hopefully we'll get him back.
Insanes is a mid laner, by the way. My bad. I'm confusing their initial starting roster with this roster.
Yeah, but lane assignment wise, right? Like, this Gwen's in a good spot where won't really have to worry about being killed off in that early phase when Gwen is probably her weakest. Fiji, even if he's a monster on the Scion, shouldn't really have a lot of kill threat in this lane. So Insane's handshaking into a farm off is pretty nice. You get the classic Corki and Azir matchup. But the bottom lane is where, it could go one of a multitude of ways. This could just be Idol as the only real range target down there running away with the bottom lane, or it can just be the chaos of Bushmania, where everyone's just hopping out of the brushes and Idol doesn't even get to farm. I do see the Idol is going with the Comet, so it's going to be going that lethality. As long as we get a Serpent's Fang, this is fine.
Yeah, as we
definitely need a Serpent's Fang.
The classic post-pause freeze coming on through, and I mean, this is one of those things, Slayer. We watch so many games of competitive League of Legends, right? Especially you, taking some time over on the LPL, and you get used to certain things. You start to see the same patterns, and that's how you inform your broadcast. Sometimes you can throw one strange thing into the mix, and that can be a fun conversation point as we hypothesize what it's going to look like.
Damn, Fiji.
When Wardens does stuff like this, I almost don't even know what to say anymore. There's just so many goofy things going on in this draft that there's almost no way to judge what your expectations should be. I can make guesses on the fly, but they're going to start to get proven wrong and have to be adjusted incredibly quickly.
Yeah, for me, it's really just like looking at this from how does an NLE comp approach this chaos and how do they try and shut it down. You're seeing it already. Targeting Insanes on this Gwen. Flashless Gwen, early level Gwen with very little power. Insanes trying to use the Alcove to create enough space here. Slow will come across, but the Decimating Smash is going to land with full charge, and it's Dumpa that picks up the kill. Exactly the person you want a ton of early gold on if you're Next Level Esports.
Yeah, good effort from Insanes there. Really liked the use of the Hollowed Mist to try to sneak his way out. Did immune some of the Stranglethorns there. Or the I think that's Grasping Roots, actually.
Yeah,
I keep confusing my ability names. So that's the problem with the Zyra, right? You want to call the E the Stranglethorns. Anyway, good effort from Insanes. Not quite enough to get him over the finish line.
Nope. And that is a good game plan for NACL Esports, is try and punish this Gwen in a solo side lane. Also, it's just a natural gank, right? Dumpa cleared bot to top, saw the window of whenever you have a flashless solo laner, like junglers are just salivating for a gank onto that one. So Insane's in a tough spot here. Dumpa can really just be such a menace for this Warden's comp, even if we're still trying to figure out what the hell they've drafted. There's a ton of, you know, you can cut down any sort of angle with ease. A ton of dashes, you know, Rengar, Jarvan can do it, Gwen can run at you. The Zyra is going to get a ton of value, especially once you get to that 2-item power spike where you get the burn and the slow. Might really just shut down everything Wardens wants to do, but it looks like on the bot side, Idol is dropped to Evan. Evan just picked up Feet of Warfare all on his own. The Ivern brushes, Evan Lai is 3-0.
Oh my. I mean, they just found themselves an engaged angle there. Hopefully we can get a replay here before too long, as we get a little bit of a screen freeze anyway that maybe will give us the power to be able to get over there. But Dumpa and Idol get taken out by just the jumping power of Evan Lai. I see the Cleanse and the Ignite have both been used.
So is Rums
really just using those double offensive summoners to be able to find themselves the advantage.
Looks like, I guess, won't be getting a replay anytime soon of that one, but I mean, this is the chaos incarnate, as we have the mid laners 1v1 with autos, and that is a straight win as well. So all the Warden's lanes except topside are ahead of schedule.
All right. So now they come on out here with a substantial early advantage and the Feet of Warfare secured here for the likes of Wardens. Strong early lead for them up against a next level esports composition that's really going to be looking to scale now if they weren't already. Here's a follow-up gank from Dantes. Will not let Yoru breathe. Not going to be able to get out of here with the aftershock. Or will he? Evan Lai is underneath the turret taking another amped up shot. Idol with one more piercing arrow. Can't quite connect it out of the Rengar.
Oh, the Jays under the turret. They really wanted Yoru's number. Still pretty big win nonetheless. Evan Lai doesn't give over that shutdown, so that's a pretty big spot to be at. And the main damage dealers, scaling threats, and even like the bridge damage dealers of NACL Esports are the ones that are hurting the most. Talked about how Dumpa being ahead could be very pivotal, but Idol and Heal in as tough of spots, especially Idol. Like this Varus is going lethality and still is not going to hit like that classic quick-paced, you know, double lethality item combo forever. He's got 18 CS, and now Yoru, he's just getting hopped on over and over again. It's Bush Mania all over. Evan Lai, the flash of Yoru for Brush. The Brush actually gives Idol a huge shutdown, but Dantes is here after taking the Dragon. Idol doesn't have either summoner up, so Dantes, one more auto, should be able to find the kill. He's gonna have to flash to commit forward as Yoru goes in with the Zenith Blade and gives Dantes the double kill.
Idol and Yoru, they got the shutdown, but they just greeted for too much more, wandering into the Ivern spawned bushes, finding Dantes waiting for them, and they clean up a double kill for the streamer on the Jarvan. A big advantage to Wardens is maintained despite Evan Lai giving over the shutdown.
It's like we have a potential freeze going on here.
Nice.
Not great timing. Yeah, but it's just so much heroics that has to be played out by Idol and Yoru in this bottom lane. Like the brushes, and now Dantes is really leaning on towards that bottom side. I do like it a lot because Jarvan and Rengar, obviously more Rengar than Jarvan, are just so snowball based that if you could get yourself half an item ahead or an item ahead quickly, you can really run a game where you've got an Azir that's still trying to farm his way up, a Varus that is, despite the shutdown, still very far behind. So this is actually Wardens with an opportunity to kind of run over this early phase of the game, and that's what they have to do to win, right? Like if we get to traditional fighting in the mid to late game, this comp sucks. But if you can just like play the map so well and pick off Yoru and heals over and over again, even dump on the Zyra, like you can win because NLE won't get to play their style. And that's what Warren's goal is to do today, is to make sure that NLE do not get to execute what their comp wants.
Completely agree with you there, Slayer. And we are coming on in. Oh, okay. We found our way in. Oh, we used the old jump in with the other spectator trick. Well done, Caddy. And didn't miss any kill for it. Oh, there's going to be a shuffle back to heel looking for Serenai. Serenai going to be able to flip out just additional damage. Dumpa getting a big snare onto Dantes and taking him down. Shut down gold over to Dumpa.
Oh, Dantes thought he had the kill, but it's actually Evan that's coming over. He's taking the turret aggro, but will he pick up the kill? Heal will drop down. He gets a massive heal on his Evolve W. Evan Lai, though, maybe put off a little bit more than he could chew as the plants get their might. So Dumpa picks up another set of kills here. A double kill over to him, but Insanes is trying to smack around Fiji with the Gwen ultimate. Fiji's going to survive, but this is the chaos we were advertised. Just skirmishes every lane possible 24/7 from Wardens.
Yeah, if we can swap Insanes and Evan Lai again when we get a chance, that would be excellent. And oh no, not again. Okay, we're good. We're good.
Okay.
Everybody calm down. Hopefully we'll be able to switch those players again here soon. But I mean, between Evan Lai and Fiji, it certainly does appear that we just have attack move only bound to right click this game, because everybody is just constantly launching themselves in here, and they're giving up some kills for it. That was Evan Lai's second death, given up in much a similar way to how Idol gave up his.
Yep. It's throw all caution to the wind. That's Warden's plan. We're gonna beat that into the ground as the series goes on. As Evan Lai is making his third gank of the game in a third different lane. Direction. And Evan Lai, Dantes traps it with the Cataclysm, so Fiji can't run all the way away and get an execute. How about it? One of the biggest junglers in the NA content space with an outplay to earn Evan Lai a kill.
Massive Cataclysm out of Dantes to be able to make that pick happen. And Wardens continue their cross-map rampage. The thing is, it's a solid CS lead here to Dumpa. He's also been able to get 3 kills. So look at what Dumpa's going to be able to accomplish on this Zyra. They put a lot of draft resources into him to be able to secure this highly prized jungler. And he is definitely going to scale better than Dantes will. And they're set up for the superior teamfight comp, like you said, Slayer. So let's see just how much that can pay off for them with how this has been transpiring.
I'm still looking to some of these, desync tools that NLE have available to them into this Dantes comp, right? You've got Chains of Corruption, you've got Zyra CC. Leona's definitely more aggressive forward, but you can use some of her kit and the Silent kit to just mess up Evan Lai hopping in. You can shut down Dantes when he flies in with a flag and drag. If you can break up these combos, Wardens will just completely fall flat in these fights, but I like the fact that they're just trying to force as many small skirmishes where they know they don't have to worry about a full succinct fight over and over again and take everything they can get on the map for it. They get the second set of grubs, they get the first dragon. It is going to be traded back here by Dumpa, but Dantes is close by, maybe looking for a cheeky steal. This would get feats of strength. This will get feats of strength fully over for Wardens if they can get this dragon somehow.
Absolutely. We'll see if they're going to be able to move on down. Heal just clearing out waves in mid lane.
They are.
Doesn't seem like Next Level Esports are going to be able to manifest the forces that they need to be able to challenge for this dragon. So going to go on
Insanes
over for free to Wardens, and Insane's here to match Fiji, going to force this Scion out of here. He'll have the ultimate back in not too long. Oh, but the fight breaking out in bottom lane as well. They're going to be able to find the Chains of Corruption onto Dantes, but can't get the execute damage. Meanwhile, on Fiji getting a fight started onto Insanes and Serenai on the opposite side. Serenai to drop, but look at all the health he has to try to work through these two, but this is a pseudo AD Scion. He's ready to get the DMX completed, and the shutdown gold goes to Dumpa thanks to the plants. Next Level Esports went out on the top side fight.
The plants avenge Dumpa and save a Serenai double kill from coming on through. That was the heroics from the grave that you like to see. But this is the same sort of fighting style the Wardens want to go for. They're just barely being etched out now. Gold lead has swayed out of their pocket. And Dumpa is just so far accelerated by this point. It's still Idol and Yoru pretty far behind. And we'll see how much more Wardens are going to lean on that pressure point. But NLE have sort of staved off how bad of an early game this was so far heading into the mid game.
Definitely. So, Next Level Esports with about a 1K gold lead at the end of all of that, but the gold allocation definitely going to be important here. If Dumpa gets taken out, he's been the one that's cashed out on all of these shutdowns pretty much. He's the strongest member of Next Level Esports at this point in time. There's, you know, Evanly's plenty strong, but there's been kills given over to Serenai. There's been plenty of gold given over to Dantes as well. These guys are going to be able to come in and contend as well, even if one of them, i.e. Evanly, does end up dropping in the fight.
Right. So you do see Heal going for the Emperor's Divide.
Just running into Serenai to shuffle him back in and give that kill over to himself.
Yeah, here in that one, what does the response look like for Dantes, though? They're going to try and help out Insanes, who Fiji is just cracking through. Pretty takey Scion with the Titanic Hydra. Dantes drops him in the Cataclysm. Insanes gets out, pushes the needlework through, and finds a trade. So good on Dantes to once again play the map to its fullest to make sure these are at least trade kills at the end of the day. No, he's all right.
That was a close one. Fiji, one more auto attack, one little reset off the Tiamat or something. I think definitely could have been able to turn that kill back around. But it's a free one to Dantes. Fiji taken down yet again, but the Scion, I don't know how much he's really going to mind that, especially on this kind of Bowsian build with the Titanic Hydra as well as the Executioner's Calling finished off. This TP doesn't get interrupted by the turret dying anymore, but he's still not going to be able to save it.
First turret, not as valuable to go down here is Team Warden already claimed the feats of strength off of monster slaying and champion slaying. So, but yeah, still a first turret picked up nonetheless here. It's still just got to look at the gold. I mean, look at Idol's gold right now. He is at 4.5K. He's only 500 over realms. That is the problem here for NLE, is that they're relying on a ton, if not all of their magic damage dealers to win them some of these fights. Idol, this is the one problem with playing Lethality Varus. If you do not win lane or go even, if you fall behind, it feels so rough to try and play this style of the champion, because those bursty, piercing arrows that you're hoping to find you these big kills, they just don't do any damage. And now Idol's lost his bottom lane turret, having to use the Chains of Corruption to just hold Evanly at bay, as Idol and Yoru have to retreat further back towards their tier 2 turret. But Dantes is looking for the Cataclysm, does get Yoru. They're outside of the turret range, so they've got the support of NLE trapped. He's going to flash out the Cataclysm with the double knockup. Comes through for Daisy. How can they juggle the turret aggro, though? Evanly drops it over. Doesn't matter. Dantes gets out with the second kill, dropping NLE's bottom lane once more.
A massive double knockup from Daisy, giving them the opportunity to turn it around, and Dumpa checking right into Dantes. It just turns right around on him. The burst damage from Evanly is too much, and these guys are on a rampage in the bottom side. Idol's gonna be up in a couple of seconds.
Why is Dantes in turret aggro?
Dantes, he's gotta get out of there. Oh man, the trigger seed, just barely enough shielding to get that man out.
Yeah, and Summoner Heal. Realms used every single supportive summoner and spell he had on his kit to keep Dantes up. But what a heroic just playing of the map here from Dantes. He is all over the place, finding positive efficiency ganks over and over again. I mean, he's got 10 of the 13 KP for his team right now, only matched by the 0010 Ivern from Realms. Just doing it all to give Wardens another gold cushion that they're desperately seeking, and their win con of this dragon stacking to see if they can create enough chaos to win this game one.
Yeah, so starting things off onto this dragon, Dumpa going to be the first one to pull it. He's got the rest of the squad there with him, but here come Wardens, and Evanly is in tow, 2 items strong on this Rengar. Let's see what this looks like with the Ivern Rengar rolling up to the dragon.
God.
Triple knockup from Dantes. It's a full channeled slam from Fiji, landing onto Evanly. They chuck him out for about half of his HP. Can't dump him in the damage in time. It's a back from Heal to be able to clean up the Rengar. But now what about the rest of the fight on the backside? Yoru and Idol already on blinking health bars. They peel back, relying on those Sand Soldiers to pump out the damage, and they do manage to retreat. It's a 1-for-0 in favor of Next Level Esports, but this objective belongs to Wardens. They've got better health bars, and they're going to look to keep it going, but Heal showing on up to be able to try to disrupt Insanes. Dumpa arrives as well. This is the strongest member of the team. He just blows up that Gwen. It's a Cataclysm into the backside from Dantes, but he's in a 1 versus 2, and he'll get taken taken down by Azir. Fiji arrives as well, cuts off realms from the rest of his teammates, disrupts the Hex portal, a shutdown to Idol, and Next Level Esports clean house, taking the lead right back.
Wardens, it was so good. You had the health bar advantage. You caught them on resets with this burst first composition, nearly winning that fight, but then they stuck around too long, and every second you stay engaged with the combatant, it gives them more space to win these fights. As you see Heal flash away from Evanly, now he's just going to go after the tier 1 turret, and Evan gets this entire play turned on to him. It's now a 1 versus 4, and he's picked off again as NLE are starting to find their groove.
Heal just got him with the rope-a-dope, waited for him to jump over the wall, flashed back to the other side from where he came from, and there's nowhere left for Evan to go. He gets torn apart by 4 members of Next Level Esports, and they walk away another kill richer and with one more objective.
You can see that these fights are closer than you might think. The gold has ballooned a bit since then. Big shutdowns were gained by Idol to get some of these lethality items going. He's nearing, I believe, what might be Edge of Night potentially coming through as his second item. He's nowhere close to the Moramana, which is definitely still a troublesome spot. But they've got 2 items on these AP damage dealers. Dumpa got a ton of value out of his Zyra last time, and Heal is in a good spot as well, but Dantes is hunting him.
Yeah, gets to throw down his shield in time. Heal's just gonna shuffle him deeper underneath the turret. There is the grasping roots. There is the kill. And Serenai cannot find the rockets to turn it back around. Fiji is on the backside. He's arrived with the flank, and he has got the damage with 2 tunnelers in his inventory. It's a cleanup for Dumpa and Next Level Esports. They take it 4 for 0.
That was so disrespectful from Heal. Resetting in vision, 1 HP, knowing that if he gets Serenai to flash onto him, he could fall for a trade. Just casually sidesteps the last rocket, gets an extra flash out of a Warden's member as well. This game is starting to fall apart. Any pick attempt that doesn't immediately result in a kill here for Wardens, they're just going to get turned on, and it's not going to look pretty.
Definitely will. Well, 20 minutes in, Otacon is on the map. It is, in fact, the Ruinous Otacon, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, it better be after this early game.
Yeah, it is the Ruinous Otacon, so we'll see who ends up trying to contest for it. We'll be up top with the Baron in 4 minutes and 30 seconds if somebody hasn't taken it by then. Of course, the Wardens do have the advantage in the Dragon game, so they can get themselves on a soul point once that is back and available as well. So staying competitive in the objective game, but definitely at a gold disadvantage. So going to have to get a little creative to start to try to find wins here. Like, they got the comp to do it. I mean, they got Rengar, and they definitely have some strong split push with this Gwen. Let's see how exactly they want to approach.
Now, the problem is that their scaling threats are definitely a little bit behind schedule, right? Overlord's blood mail's completed for Fiji. This guy's a maniac on Siren. I love to see it, but he's ahead of Insanes by a wide margin. You know, Serenai is also behind Heal by this point. Those are the 2 that really have to carry the damage through, especially if you don't get that initial Rengar kill, which for Evanly, which doesn't really feel like you're going to get too much more often in this game state. They need to catch up on items here, and it's still just such a pick-based composition. And it's getting kind of hard to find targets you really want to lean to play on. They have a bit of a timer to maybe try and pick off Heal if he's not safe in that bottom side. There's objectives on the top side to play for soon, but you can't really risk going up again over for Fiji. If Idol has Yoru with him, it's really hard to dive this Varus anymore, especially with Summoners up. The options are becoming pretty limited for Wardens to really find picks before any more of these big neutral objectives come up for them to take off the back of those plays.
And look, Slayer, I'm many things before I'm a mathematician, but there's just no way this Overlord's blood mail is efficient, right? You just have Titanic Hydra and innate Soul Furnace HP. There's no way that's enough to make Warden's mail like good. Not Warden's mail, Overlord's blood mail rather.
It would be later if he built
I want to say, I'm thinking mail and I'm watching Wardens, so I want to say Warden's mail, but it's Overlord's blood mail. Maybe later, sure, when you get some more health built up, but...
Oh, he's trying it again.
All right. Can he get the outrun here? I mean, he's going to get cut off by this Ivern Rengar duo. The question is just, what can his team do with the time he buys?
Is he going to get the back off here? This is definitely going to be close. No, he's not. They've got him cornered 1 versus 3. So Fiji's going to go down. This could be Wardens getting that pick we talked about. They needed to try and play for one of these neutrals. They've got Insanes pushing this wave fully up. Shutdown goes over to Evanline. They have Runas Otacon on the top side as well. They could really just fully index into playing for the Otacon, but I like this strategy here from NLE. They shove the mid wave in and force them to respond to a mid-tier 2 turret. And now they're just pulling Wardens further into the bot side. It's going to cost them a tier 2 turn on the backside, but they've completely neutralized the dragon stacking for Wardens. We're tied up at 2 apiece.
Insane's full sending it for that top inner turret and does successfully take it, even with the wave fully cut off by Fiji. So that's a couple of big turrets taken here for the Wardens to get themselves much closer in the gold difference and try to give themselves some more space to move around the map. Get another charge onto the mid inner as well. I think they might have even been able to threaten that. Next Level Esports a little late on their recalls. Can't get here for a while.
Yeah, it's definitely risky to go for that when you don't have any reliable ranged damage, right? You'd have to get like up in the face of that turret, more space to cut down. Maybe if they had Serenai, they would have been able to, but alas, it's still a big win, right? Like across the shutdown, the 2 turrets they gained, that's like over 1,000, nearly 1.5k gold that they gained off of those positive plays, and there wasn't really any gold lost on the backside. It was just a dragon. So good on Wardens to once again try and play the map spread out as possible. I still am worried about that style because at a certain point here, you know, within the next 30 seconds, we're going to have 2 buffs that everybody needs to play around and have their 5-mans for on the same side of the map. Baron and this Octagon are going to be up on the same side of this map, and if you let NLE get first set up around this buff, like Wardens are walking into a trap they just do not survive.
Indeed. We'll find out if they will be able to get on over here and actually be able to challenge. You would like them to be able to have a little bit of space and time to set up with on this Ivern and try to get some bushes down, try to create a nice clear path for Evanline, as well as get some opportunity to layer down some rockets from Serenai. But so far, the push, at least in mid, is in favor of NLE, but they do have the inner turret already taken topside, and the minions are flooding in, so somebody's going to have to go over there and deal with it. It's going to be Heal's job for now.
And it's a hard job for Fiji with this build path to really match Insanes. He can't really ever fight him. He has to just catch waves over and over again with this Gwen at 2 items. So it's opening up for Wardens to try something cheeky. They started up Runas Otacon just to see what the response will look like for NLE, and it was a good call to come off it. Yoru and Dumpo were sprinting into the river. They wouldn't have been able to burn through it that quickly without Evanline or Insanes. So just sort of checking NLE, seeing what they're going to do to respond to them on the map here. But that's Rengar ultimate pop for Evanline. They were looking for a pick play, but this is what will break Warden's strategy. You could see it in live picture. That ultimate was popped because they thought they had a 1-man pick, and NLE just group up as 4 and say, I dare you to jump in.
Definitely. It's not going to have access to On the Hunt, or Thrill of the Hunt, rather. On the Hunt is the Sivir ultimate we saw earlier. There's going to be the Otacon.
Are they going to try
in their sights. They do have many members down on the bottom side, but they haven't seen Dumpa yet. They're going to see him soon if he comes over to help with this fight up against Insanes. Fiji with the cutoff here. Gonna find the knockup. Dumpa arrives for the backup, and this Gwen just cannot stay alive for long enough, but that's the signal to start the Otacon Slayer.
Yeah, Yoru's gonna go in and just get a ton of damage down. Realms just burned through it. First heal, uses the Emperor's Divide to create enough space. Really good mastery of the Azir to buy himself as much value out of these Sand Soldiers. And it's who else but Fiji to teleport back in versus the 3-man might of the Wardens. Dantes and company using the Otacon to get a ton of damage. There's a 2-man flag and drag from Dantes. Sets up Serenai to find the first kill into Fiji. Yoru's gonna go down next. It has to be heal and idle. Kiting back. Evanline desperately tries to get back to the brush, but will fall. And now Dantes and company have to flash out, bail out on their play, but I don't think they have a lot of room to escape here. Serenai is going to try and teleport out. He will get to safety, but Dantes will pay with his life. It was chaotic, it was messy, but NLE stabilize and win themselves the first big fight of the game.
Where's your TP, Dantes? You got to get out of there, man, but not going to be an option available. Serenai has to bail on his jungler. It's another fight win for NLE, but they take enough losses that they can't just turn it right into Otacon and or Baron. They will have to regroup, they will have to spend, but they will have more in their inventory to give this one another go. Dante's still down for 20 seconds. They might be able to start something up, but these Hex Gates gonna let him get back in the action pretty quickly.
You can see the itemization approach here from Wardens that might be what's keeping these fights so close. There are 2 Spirit Visages completed for Dantes and Evanly. Really smart, right? Because if you look at Idol, this guy, yeah, he's 3 items now. These are cheap lethality items still. And the Moramana is not even a mount immune yet. So this Varus just does not do enough damage, even in the single target spot, to be enough of an AD threat. I'll dignify Fiji's build path a bit for some of that damage, but the main point is, if you can nerf the damage of Dumpa and heal right now, Wardens will really have a better shot in these extended fights than anticipated.
NLE a little late to this one. They had multiple members down bottom, including
what is
their
Opticon doing, bro?
Can they get here in time? Idol's over here. Over the wall goes Evanly, looking to get the fight started. Solar Flare wins entirely. There's the Baron picked up by Dantes. Fiji going to look to start the fight. A massive shuffle back from Heal to get things started on Next Level Esports' terms. Evanly is left out to dry. He's going to get bursted out by 4 members, and there will be a numbers advantage for Next Level Esports on the map, but the Baron in Warden's pockets, worn by Dantes and Serenai.
How about the NLE Rook on the main stage right now, showing out for Next Level Esports? Heal saves that play. If he does not go in for that big Shuriken shuffle, Wardens can just disengage, likely have Baron on 4, maybe 5 members. But instead, he makes the play, makes the call to throw them all into the meat grinder and make sure that the fight is a one-done deal for Next Level Esports. They do lose the Dragon off the back end playing for Voracious Opticon, but that was a game-saving and potentially game-winning play there from Next Level Esports' rookie mid laner.
Very possibly could have been. We talked about Heal's aggression in the first series we watched for NLE today. It bit him a couple of times there, but it pays off big in this team fight. He gets right in there and makes sure to take off as many of those Baron buffs as possible. Now, Dantes and Serenai are the 2 who still have it. Let's see where they get assigned lanes-wise and what value they can get out of the Baron on the Warden's side, because that Otacon buff that was picked up by NLE, it's going to be permanent. It's going to be providing value throughout the rest of the game.
Extra value on any kills you pick up, extra value on every Drake you get from here on out. And there's Insanes in the side lane getting caught out 1 versus 2 versus Dumpa and Heals. Dumpa goes into the stasis just to make sure Insanes cannot trade that kill back out. It's exactly how you set a trap on a team that wants to play split push.
Well, that's a Scion ultimate being channeled in towards mid lane.
Flying in.
He just wants to make sure this wave isn't going to touch the turret. Starting on the Dantes, they chunk him to about half. Now they're just going to have to work on Daisy.
Yeah, burn through Daisy's health bar. Redemption, though. Fiji's taking a lot of damage. Dantes goes in with the flag and drag. There's the Zenith blade through for Yoru. Knockup comes across. Serenai has 1 kill, but they lose Evanly, and they have Dantes sectioned off. Good flag and drag to buffer the stun. Gets back to Realms, who has to flash over the big wall, but does hit a snare onto Dumpa. So it's just ended up being a trade at the end of the day, but for NLE, that means they keep the Baron waves off of their turrets.
Yeah, and I mean, Evanly is the cornerstone of this composition, right? Who cares about this Ivern if it's not letting a Rengar jump across the rest of your team and your Gwen is down as well? You know, you can buff up Dantes all day long, but these 3, without the rest of their team, they're just not going to be able to take on the Next Level Esports composition when Dumpa and Heal are just pumping out so much AoE damage.
A lot of pressure on this Corki to be that consistent damage in these fights, because Insanes has pushed himself to pure perma-side laning, right? He is playing his own version of League of Legends with this Gwen. And he's still a potent in those side lanes despite the scoreline. The scoreline is a bit deceiving. The main thing to look at is that Insanes is 3 items on Gwen, and that's when the first real, oh god, Gwen is scary checklist. You mark one of the big red boxes at that point. So he's going to try and be the split lane demon. It's on Serenai to be the threat in those team fights with this Corki, who is up nearly at 4 items. It just feels like it's not really enough right now for Warden unless they catch NLE leaving one of their players out to dry, allowing them to get picked off. But they haven't done that in the last 10 minutes, and it's what has them in such a commanding lead for game 1.
Indeed it is. So, got ourselves a little bit of a reset from both parties. A little bit of a calm before the storm here. 2 minutes to go on the Baron, 2 minutes to go on the Dragon that would be Soul for Wardens. So
yeah,
they definitely have big objectives to threaten on both sides. Next Level Esports going to need to have a good game plan here to make sure they don't give over something that they don't want to Wardens. Gonna have to play both sides to some degree and be ready to pivot at a moment's notice if Wardens show up somewhere.
My favorite part of this game, man, is just watching some of these builds evolve. Like, Fiji has a Sterix gauge now. This guy's got the blood mail, and he just does not want to get tank items to buff it up. He still wants to build full bruiser. That's I assume he's just gonna get the chainsaw as his heal cut item, because he's not going to sell the executioners. So this is about to be one of the revolutionary, I say in heavy quotation marks, Scion builds you'll see in the qualifiers. Definitely not what Aloran would have built on Scion yesterday, let me tell you.
Revolutionary is a hell of a positive
quotation marks. Quotation marks.
I respect it, dude. I mean, you know, I'm always trying to figure out new ways to not flame in my cats, so I'm going to take a note on that one. As Dante's coming over the wall to clear out some of this extra vision, looking like they want to take control over top side primarily on the Warden side. See if they can secure themselves this Baron. Will spawn a little bit later than the Dragon will, so see if NLE's game plan is going to be to try to just rush this one down, but you can't forget about Sirenai. Look at him on the top side.
BG has made the call that he can 1v1 this Corki. We'll see. That's a level 18 Corki. And I mean, if he gets this close in, why not? Fiji's just bopping him over and over again. Ult drop, throws Sirenai into the sky. There's a teleport coming in, but the Corki's already shut down. Fiji just soloed out the main AD carry of Wardens, and now they're scrambling to find something on the backside. But is that a blind snag? Yoru catches out Evanlai with the Zenith Blade over the wall, and now Wardens, they're just crumbling, and Heels is looking for the final blow. Daisy out, Insane's is popping the ghost, but they're playing on the back foot because in comes Heels. Here is Next Level Esports. Secure the dragon, pick up another kill, and they're going to pound their way down mid lane.
Yeah, there they go. Insanes was trying to TP up to back up his mid laner, got interrupted, and I was wondering for a minute there, does NLE wish that they hadn't interrupted that? Because they could have had a 4 versus 3 for the Dragon. They went out the fight anyway, though, coming up with a massive snag on towards Evan as he's looking for the flank. Yoru makes the play, and this is every objective over to NLE. They get themselves the Baron, they get themselves the Dragon, they're now on Soul Point themselves, and they have full control over the map.
They've allowed Idol to catch up to 4 items by this point. Another great itemization change for this game that you like to see. We talked about the Spirit Precision for Wardens, how valuable they would be early. The response here from NLE, Dumpa and Heal, love that they both have a stasis available to them, right? You expect it from these champions, but especially in this game scenario, it is vital that you buy yourselves a couple critical seconds when that Warden jump in comes in. But by this point, it's not a jump, it's more of a hop, like a bunny hop when they jump in to try and kill off NLE, because they can just push it off with ease. Gonna look for one big fight here that will probably win this game. It's NLE's game to lose for sure, though, with Baron on 5 and hounding onto these inhibitor turrets.
Able to withstand this, you know,
Dante's, oh my god,
off the wall comp. Dante's trying to get the fight started onto Heal there. Going to cause the Chains of Corruption to come out and whiff, so it's kind of just an ulti for ulti trade at the end of the day.
They do lose Evanlai ult, so the Rengar also pops Thrill of the Hunt there, and Evanlai's not going to jump on anybody because NLE grouped up and dared him to jump into his demise. So does go 2 for 1 on ultimates. That does really nerf a lot of Warden's ability to force a fight to try and defend this turret. If I'm NLE, definitely look to keep pressing these waves in over and over again, because some of those big engage tools are down right now for Warden.
Indeed they are. So what can be done or Wardens to try to come up and defend this? They can layer down these bushes, they can place Sirenai inside them and have him get a good little first strike off before NLE really know what hits them. But apart from that, defending up against these Baron waves, it's tough. This is not a team composition that's especially indexed into wave clear, Slayer.
No, but you made a good point there, Gordo. The Iron Brushes are getting a ton of value because NLE have to respect every single one of them, and somebody's just going to pop out here. Well, everybody I say except Fiji, because Fiji thinks that he's not going to die again this game, the way he's been playing. He's just casually 1v2ing Evan and Realms. Evan does a ton of damage here. They do have the big Ivern shields, but Fiji had the Sterix shield ready, and Dumpa swings over. Fiji was just laying a trap for Wardens to walk into, and they can't walk through those Zyra plates, doing so much damage. Heal teleports in, and he wants to find these final kills, force this this game done and dusted, and he's gonna go for it with the Shuriman shuffle onto Insane's. Turret's gonna drop. It's the Rook from NLE to get it done once more, trying to push themselves further and further in this loser's bracket, and they're gonna find themselves up 1-0 up against Wardens.
Baronai and Evan cannot defend the Nexus turrets. It is going to be torn apart by Next Level Esports. A tremendous fight once again started by Fiji on his Scion, and that's 2 games today where you can't help but walk away thinking if you're facing NLE, you cannot let this pick through. He is finding the correct fight angles. He is outplaying his opponents, and he comes up with the win alongside the rest of the NLE squad.
Luckily for Wardens, don't have to deal with that Scion in the series, so the Fearless Foreman's going to help you out with that. But yeah, that was a game that NLE were able to wrestle control back of. You're going to see the goal graph here. It tells the exact story of what we were talking about from draft, Gordo, right? This chaos-inducing composition from Warden could find success early. They picked up first blood. They were able to push their goal lead pretty sizable after forcing a lot of crazy skirmishes. But when we got to the team fighting stage of this game, it was just NLE that were too hard to deal with as long as they stayed grouped up. And you could see the results, even in the goal graph, really telling you that story.
Oh my God, look at that damage chart. I mean, Fiji. Give everybody else a chance, man. This is crazy.
It's just slapping everybody perma this game.
I do want to give big props to Dumpa as well, though, playing his role out very nicely. You know, they prioritized him in the draft. He was a place we called out early on that he likes to play a hard farming style. He's been getting big CS leads all day long. If he can do that on this Zyra, he'll be a big carry force, and that was him this game. Even in that last team fight, just getting 2 of the slowing plants down, immediately ulting them with the Stranglethorns to make them even bigger and stronger. And Dante's tried to get into that fight, came face to face with 2 plants, got stung like 4 times, and immediately said, "Oh, I apologize, have a nice day," and turned around and tried to leave. It was just not possible to play into.
Yeah, Gordon, we talked about it. Dumpa getting ahead on a Zyra that is just a problem naturally for a comp that wants to dive forward constantly really showed out in those later fights. The rally slows, the constant cooldown reduction on those spells was certainly a problem. And it's good to see the Next Level Esports, while they were a bit thrown off by this chaos draft from Quest's mind, they were able to stabilize and stay true to their comp they designed to know they could get that win. And now they've got themselves on the brink of surviving weekend 1 of the NACL qualifiers. We're going to take a short break, but on the other side, we're going to see what Dantes and company have got with their qualifier lives on the line. We'll be live with the Game 2 draft between Team Wardens and Next Level Esports after a short break.
Welcome back, everybody, to today's broadcast of the NACL Open Qualifiers here on Just wasn't sure which of us was introing there.
Yeah, I could tell that vibe. I thought we were like a handoff thing, like you introed, then I outroed, so then you whatever. We got there. That's the point.
We made it happen. All right, welcome aboard, everybody. I mean, really, kind of defeats the whole purpose of doing the intro right if we're gonna call attention to it right after. But what can you do? Welcome aboard. We got Dante's team, Wardens, coming in for game number 2, down 0-1 in the series. They are racing through these picks and bans. Next Level Esports locking in the Ezreal. Do want to call out, they are making a swap on Wardens. They have Elias coming in, presumably to play bot lane. I think the rest of the squad is going to be the same. We'll check out that when we see the names after draft. But Elias, a player who played bot lane for this team yesterday, another mid laner that this team has on the roster, traditional mid laner. And he did quite well. He played a Hui bot game and a Kog'Maw bot game, both to very good success. Won the Hui game, lost the Kog'Maw game. And then he played a Cassante mid game while Sora swapped bot to play Yasuo Taric alongside Realms. So he did well in Cassante too. So, you know, this guy can do it all.
Also a known, I would say, Quest staple player, right? A ton of Quest teams have been led by.
Oh, yeah. These guys have all played together before, except for Dante's.
Yeah. So Elias and Evan Lai, they were a pretty good mid-jungle duo I was excited to see at the start of 2024, even late 2023, maybe, I think. A lot of last year. So good to see them both playing again. Will they be playing mid-jungle together? Probably not. With the way Warden's composition is designed. They're designing it, though, through with the champions in this draft. The Karma B1 is intriguing. And Elise saw that and they're like, all right, well, if you want to play Ezreal, let's just put Yoru on Ezreal, or Idol on Ezreal, excuse me. So you take away that bottom lane composition. And now Wardens have completely pivoted to going for a very aggressive solo lane setup. They're going to have the Irelia in either top or mid lane with the Sejuani jungle. That does give you that extra bonus on the Sejuani passive for extra stuns. So looking to be pretty aggressive in this early phase. Irelia, Sejuani, and Karma are all either lane bullies or early ganking opportunists in the jungle. So it's Wardens again that are looking to just be the bigger aggressors out the gate and try to win the game from there on out and not ever look back.
That is definitely going to be the game plan here. So the Rel locked in for Yoru, another powerful pick that he is plenty experienced on. I am curious where this Irelia is going to end up going. Is this an Evan Lai top pick? Is this a mid lane pick with the likes of Serenai, who we are not quite as familiar with?
Right.
There's a lot of possibilities for where this one might be going. The Karma snap up, I think, most likely going to be for Realms, but you could play solo lane Karma too. So
I've seen it.
Who knows? Who knows what Wardens are going to bring to the table?
Hey, if I'm going to be the guy that randomly pulls LPL knowledge out, we saw some Karma tops over in LPL this year. So just saying, that is a possibility. It was in Fearless format too. So who knows with Wardens? They drafted 3 junglers last game and made it look competitive. So all bets are really off with this team. So you look towards the second phase bans here. NLE taking away the Ambessa. I like that. You kind of just think, all right, they're going to go support, sort of Enchanter, tank in the jungle. Why wouldn't they just pick Ambessa, Irelia double lanes if they're banning away top lane tanks? So I like that a lot because you see Wardens take away the Cassante. Silas also going to be stolen away or banned away. Just don't want to deal with that from heals, a known champion for him. Or deal with any hijack glacial prisons. So pretty smart bans. The Seraphine one is definitely intriguing. I guess NLE were scared that you get the double Enchanter bottom lane, and they're going to lock up the Udyr. So NLE are once again creating a lot of reliable front line that is hard to push through right now with reliable engage. You've got Rel, Udyr, and Xin Zhao that can block, disrupt a ton of your damage streams from Wardens. I wouldn't be surprised if they just draft like a artillery mage here that heals really likes that he can carry through again with.
Well, what if they draft Urgot here, Slayer?
Why not, man?
I mean, they're looking at it. This would probably lock in the Irelia to being a blind pick mid laner, and here we are. And
we're not going to be Dante's.
He played this yesterday. This isn't troll. He played this yesterday. He lost on it, but he did play it. So clearly they've been practicing it. And there it is. It's the Dante's Master Yi.
Okay, so this comp is really good at making Crescent Guard a useless ultimate, except for knockbacks, right? Like, Crescent Guard is going to be blocking Karma. That's it. Like, no, Crescent Guard does not get
Urgot
that
multi initial damage.
initial damage, yeah, and then it blocks. It could block Irelia W damage. Like, oh, you could block Glacial Prison damage.
Real
like,
tight scenarios, sure. Yeah, the range
like,
there don't quite.
Yeah, they're not always the best. So Crescent Guard is usually like a big ultimate that can block a ton of your damage dealers. It's not going to be a factor into Warden's composition. But how about this pick from heals? He's going to lock in the Akali into a composition that is definitely going to be beefier, is scrappier, and there's not really a reliable backline target for you to eviscerate. Like, it's going to be Karma. But if you're targeting the Karma against this comp from Wardens, like, oh, God.
Wait a second. We lost track of this draft, Slayer. The Yee's drafted for Dantes, but there's a Sejuani in this draft too. So
wait,
Sejuani
who's the bottom laner?
I
Oh,
think
you're right.
Is it Karma Urgot bot lane? Or like Karma Irelia or something, and then it could be a solo lane Sejuani, a top lane Sejuani with the Heartsteel. That's a build you can do.
I mean, the Sejuani is definitely going to be a solo lane. Like, sorry, the Yi is definitely going to be in the jungle.
Yes.
It has to be in the jungle.
Sejuani's in lane. So is Sejuani Irelia a thing?
Ooh, that could be like a cheeky 2v2 because it's double melee. Yeah, double melee. Dude, this Ezreal just gets so much value, by the way, now.
Why you do this to us, man?
This Ezreal is such a great pick, right? Because this comp would scare so many other AD carry choices, no matter what the bottom lane combo is. But Ezreal is the safest AD carry in the game. With summoners up especially, like, it's impossible to get to him unless you throw everything at him. I really like this pick for NLE. I feel like I'm repeating the similar like draft setups, Gordo, from last game, where it's like Wardens are going to be uber aggressive on the map and try and be as scrappy as possible, fighting constantly. And if NLE stick to their style and turtle up around their Ezreal, they should be fine. I'm curious to see how this Akali works, because I think there were a lot better picks for NLE in this game than Akali. Yeah, if it's a comfort pick for heals, like, yeah, I get it, right?
Yeah, you got to believe that it's comfort, and he likes the matchup into Irelia, assuming he is playing against Irelia.
Who knows? Surprise!
Who knows? I don't think there's anybody here who's a horrific matchup for the Akali.
Right.
You know, Urgot's probably a little tough, but you know, I don't think Urgot can be played mid, though. I mean, yeah, you can play anything mid, but feels like it's probably not going to work out for you. So, icky, dude. Icky. I don't understand where any of these picks are going. Other than the Yi is certainly in the jungle, this is going to be a hard farm Dante's style of game, and these guys are going to be full sending it towards that Ezreal. I can promise you that much. So here we go. All right. Looking like it is Evan Lai on the Urgot, Dante's on the Yi, and that makes it Karma Sejuani bot lane.
Farm? So, whoa, okay. So farming, I wonder who's going to farm there.
Probably Elias on the Karma.
I would assume that it is Elias, but, you know, we've seen crazier things. We've seen crazier things nonetheless. So maybe a good call out, though. Heal expected that Irelia matchup. So the Akali is one of the few champions, once you get access to all your spells, that I really can't kind of just face roll on, I would say. And you're definitely glad if you're heal you didn't go into Urgot, because Urgot, once you jump in front of this Urgot, he just slams you behind him and deletes this Akali. So that mid lane matchup's gonna be super volatile. I'm also looking to see where Dumpa wants to go with his jungle pathing, because Dantes, the nature of Yi is you are just locked into power farming. You can go for ganks, but there isn't a lot of great setup for ganking unless you go bottom lane pre-level 6, right? So Dumpa is gonna have a lot of control on the Rift early to gank for some of these lanes that are definitely going to get pushed in. Like Urgot is going to get pushed into Udyr early on, first couple levels. Sarona is going to get very good push into heal. Dumpa, who had a pretty good early game to get started on his Zyra and didn't look back last time round, another pivotal spot for him.
Yes. So I just can't wrap my mind around Karma Sejuani. I don't see what this lane offers you. Perhaps a last-minute pivot based on wanting a different matchup somewhere else. Hard to tell.
Maybe
but this
super
is
shielding part 2 after the Ivern game, just more shields.
Oh, I mean, the shields are going to be fine. You know, Karma's
Yeah, for
a
later.
decent champion. I just feels like you would want to pair a Sejuani bot with a melee champ if you could. You know, like this could be like a cheese lane with a Samira or something. It'll be good with the Yi at least. Yi's still got double strike, so if you come in for a gank bot lane, you're definitely going to have a good time as Dante. So maybe that's really all it is. Maybe it's just a pair of Master Yi augmenters that are here to make Dante into the strongest champion possible when he rolls up bot lane.
Yeah, that makes sense for me. And also, Evan Lai, like this Urgot could be a really big menace too with those similar support systems. Really, it's like, it's kind of like, you know, you're at a horse race and you bet on like 3 different horses to win, and you're hoping like just one of them wins to cover the money of the bets on the other ones, right? So you're hoping that one of Evan Lai, Dantes, or Saronai run over their matchups so that they can just be so far ahead they get to utilize the Karma and the Sejuani. Because yeah, the Dantes' double strike helps him, but really Karma and Sejuani set up, especially this Irelia and Yi, for a ton of success, and the general shielding that this farming Karma is going to get for Elias is going to help make Evan Lai a monster once he gets to that level 13 spot on the Urgot, barring them falling behind, which is the big if, right? Like, Wardens, once again, to find success with this comp, have to come out pretty aggressive once they get access to all their spells, because you can't really afford to just let Fiji become a giant tank Udyr that nobody can deal with, and Idol to hit 3 items on an Israel that's going to be really hard to lock down.
Yeah, absolutely worth calling out here that, you know, take us back in towards the stakes of the match. This could be Warden's last game in OQs.
Yep.
They need to win here to stay alive. They need to get themselves a 3rd game, and they need to win again to be able to play next weekend. So big stakes for both of these teams, who definitely do not want to just show up and be done after 1 weekend. You want to at least make it to week number 2. Really putting a lot of eggs into this Dante's Master Yi. So clearly something that they've done a lot of scrimmaging with, that they've really wanted to bust on out, right? They drew some bans on it yesterday. They also got to play it 1 game yesterday, and now running it back. So still clearly confident in their ability to make it work. This is a very different composition than the one they drafted around it yesterday, and definitely seems a little bit more centered on making sure that the Master Yi is going to be as valuable as possible with the addition of this Sejuani and this Karma.
Without a doubt, Warden's looking to show that Dantes, as a focal point, is bigger than solo queues and a solo queue ladder here in the qualifiers. But Next Level Esports have shown all day long that they are a cohesive team. They can really play out their compositions well in any aspect. Sure, things got a little crazy. We've had some Scion shenanigans from Fiji, but outside of that, I've been really impressed with what Next Level Esports has brought to the table. What we came onto the day preaching from this NLE team, that they have been together as a core for a very long time, and they can play off each other super well. And winning this will put them in a spot to find their best qualifier finish, something that is a big thing for all these players, for names like Fiji, for Dumpa, for Idol, and Yoru, who have been playing as a squad for so long in the esports ecosystem that we call Tier 3 NA.
Indeed, they have. So, nearly at the end of our spec delay here, nearly ready to get into game number 2, with Wardens having their lives on the line. I do think this is a much better matchup for Evan Lai up against Fiji than what he experienced in game number 1. We'll see if any swapperinos end up coming on out. Udyr definitely a champion who can thrive in those sorts of situations. Can Sejuani Karma really effectively punish in a 1 versus 2 too? I'm not 100% sure. I would think you can still just kind of threaten to get the CC coming on across. You can just land mantra Qs. It's
if
probably
it wasn't Ezreal,
still effective.
Yeah, there's just so many AD carries where it would be a detriment to throw them 1v2. This Ezreal is just perfect for that. So I'm excited to see Yoru out on the map teaming up with Dumpa, because I don't think Idol is really going to be under much threat in this game, unless it's like a full overload from Wardens, and the sheer amount of people they bring is enough to get him killed. And I like this adaptation from Idol. I go for this tech sometimes in my pit slow solo queue games. When you see a team that's addicted to diving on you, on Ezreal, just take exhaust. Like barrier's not going to save you. There's nothing here for you to cleanse except a glacial prison. So take exhaust. So when Master Yi's on top of you, I know you don't slow him, but you slow his auto attacks, and you can do the same for this Irelia. It really keeps you alive even longer. Like to see that from Idle as we get the 5-point start from both of our teams. Traditional lanes, no lane swap shenanigans in this one.
Yeah, great call out there, Slayer. I definitely agree. I think Idle going to be plenty happy to have an exhaust, plenty of targets to use that one on when, especially in this kind of bot duo, the way that it's presented itself. I am curious, though. We may be bamboozled. I called this out at the start of the day. Players are swapping around roles, but even within the roles they've been assigned, players are swapping around. It does appear that Elias intends to lane mid. Serenai is going to play Irelia Sejuani bottom, so it is going to be a melee duo with this support Sejuani.
Haven't seen this sort of karma tech since Ducky Getters of 2024 summer qualifiers. They used to love doing this, putting rough beans on like a weak side Scion, and then they would have, I believe it was Hiccup, just solo mid as a full-blown karma mid. So I like this tech. We've seen it before. It has found success. The Ducky Getters won games and made a lot of games super competitive playing this type of style. And it also really does a great job at nerfing Heal's ability in this lane early, right? Like, even the Irelia wouldn't have been the most fun to deal with, but it's still melee versus melee. This is an Elias Karma that can constantly just throw Qs down, shield herself, tether you if you go too far. It's going to make Heal's life living hell early on.
Yeah, Elias definitely going to have a much better lane experience. And I think Ducky Getters are a great comparison here, Slayer, because that was another team where they prioritized champion mastery over role experience, right? So the fact that Serenai is your mid laner and Elias is your bot laner, not really what matters here. These guys are both mid laners by trade, first of all, so who cares which one of them actually ends up playing bot lane? And then you say, hey, Elias, you're the better Karma player. Serenai, you're the Irelia player. Let's just put these champions where they make the most sense. You're going to be piloting them one way or the other. And yes, you know, maybe you don't know all the exact timers for what to do in bot lane, and you're not too used to working side on side with a support, but it's fine. You've got the champion mastery. You'll put it together.
And even further, when you talk about what this who this comp is designed to find success for, all of this does is allow more time for Dantes to just power farm through and try and get a camp lead and get some items going here. As you can see, he's already done his full top to bot clear. He's on the Scuttle Crab already, as we just see Fiji and Evanlai get into it. Don't think it's going to be a real kill here unless Evanlai gets too close, but they've given Dantes space to just farm away to his merry self, and maybe even looking for some fights here as they do catch Idle with a good
shuffled underneath the turret. Realms nearly taken down.
He does!
No! Last tick of the ignite.
Oh, the exhaust.
The 2 versus 2 for Idle and Yoru. The exhaust paying off big time for Serenai, but a nice flawless duet will allow him to get out with his life.
Yep, that is just rough. One extra tick of the ignite gets that first blood over. You get it onto Yoru. It's all right. That gold will help him get a little bit tankier quicker, but that is first blood, and you do end up burning both of your flashes, so for the enemy just dropping their other summoners, right? So Idle and Yoru still have their flashes. It's going to be hard to really punish them. I say that as Cyrano immediately gets the flash out and solos Yoru. That's way too disrespectful. You can't just be in the lane up against that Irelia.
Let's go, Serenai. Getting something back right away. Love to see this when somebody's on a signature pick
flashing
like the Irelia. And now that is Heal's flash forced out by Realms on the Sejuani roam.
All right, good response here from Wardens. A little bit of unfortunate scenarios going down in the bot lane, but outside of that, stabilize well. Get the flash off the Sakali, so putting Heal behind is certainly still going to be the goal here. Is doing a pretty good job farming compared to Elias, is actually up in CS, but I want to keep pointing out the fact that this is just allowing Dantes to play his own game, and that's exactly what Wardens want to do in the early phase to set up for a Dantes masterclass on this Yin. But as I say that again, he's going for an invade with Realms onto Dumpa, and he's not even going to be able to flash the wall. Dantes gets a big kill, exactly what the Wardens need to win this game too.
Yeah, I love to see Realms doing this on the support Sejuani, just wandering around with Dantes to give him that stun power. But Fiji might just solo kill Evanlai here. Flash forced out of the Urgot.
Fiji still has flash. If he thinks he can catch up, they both have similar move speed, so I think Evanlai is actually just gonna be able to get back under his turret. He's gonna lose a big wave though. Like, this is a tough spot to be in for this Urgot, who definitely needs his own time to scale. However, NLE really, as we look at how the map's going to play out here with Drake's being up and Grubs, you got to send Yoru away from Idol at this point, right? He just executes. He proxies and executes. You got to just send, you just got to send Yoru out trying to play the map here and let Idol sit on his lonesome, because Realms is really having way more impact on the support Sejuani than the Rel right now.
I love it. I love it, Fiji. Getting back out there, doesn't end up giving over any gold. He doesn't know exactly where Dantes is, so he makes sure, hey, I'm not 100% certain that I'm going to get my recall off in time. I'll just take
God, Serenai.
Yoru.
This is a kill.
Damage, though. Serenai and Realms just cut him apart. I thought that was going to be a brief trade. It ends up just being a kill for the side of Wardens.
Oh, Gordo, you forgot the Irelia rule. Nothing's just a trade with Irelia. It's ever I'm all in or I'm not fighting. It's one of the two here. Now they're gonna set up for a dive onto Idol. Does not have the Exhaustia up yet just now. Does have flash. Does use the arcane shift to get away from the first Serenai stun, and this is why I pointed out the Ezreal is a perfect pick into Warden's comp, because he's just way too slippery to deal with. On Q though, does have to flash over the Irelia ultimate. Getting some solid damage down onto Realms, but losing a lot of creeps, crashing into his turret as this is all happening.
Vanguard's edge flashed away from, but here's an all-in from Heal, who does have the perfect execution. One more Q will do it. He takes the E in.
Dantes.
And Elias will drop, but Dantes is here to clean it up on the other side. Serenai, meanwhile, getting engaged on 2 versus 1. It'll end up being a 2-for-1 trade in favor of Next Level Esports.
That did get Feats of Warfare over for Wardens first. They got to 3 kills initially, so they do grab that small win. And Dantes is 2-0. Gotta think he's sitting on so much gold as well by this point. Flash topside though, and Dump has set up a trap here for Evanlai. Flash over the wall from Fiji. They're just gonna burn through this Urgot, so Dantes may be scaling up on schedule if not ahead. But Evanlai is being tortured right now on this topside.
Really hard stuff there for Evanlai to have to play up into this matchup, and now picked on up yet again, falling further and further behind and giving more and more gold over to Fiji, who is, like you said, yeah, just having a grand old time up there in the top lane. Getting a lane up against a jungler, getting a solid matchup as well. He's plenty happy.
Plenty happy, but this game is still plenty skirmish heavy basis, and with these Sejuani stuns, Dantes is going forward. Elias behind him picks up the kill, just going for man advantage pick plays over and over again. Realms is really helming the ship to home for Wardens. He's been a part of a majority of their kills right now in the Rift, and for good reason.
Yeah, it's actually really funny how this Sejuani support has kind of transformed the Master Yi as a pick. You generally associate this as being a hard farm champion. He's behind in CS, but the reason he's behind in CS is because he actually has kill pressure. Gets to go 2-0-1 in this early phase, as he gets to constantly pair on up with Realms and actually be like an effective ganking jungler.
Yep. Got him a gold lead nonetheless here. Jordan's still, though, a bit behind in that aspect, trying to get on these neutrals. We haven't seen a ton of attention paid towards them. Grubs were taken silently in the background, and now Dantes is trying to burn through this dragon, but NLE are looking to disrupt it. Crash down comes across from Yoru. Dantes does secure the dragon, but at what cost? Because he's surrounded and perfectly executed by Heal, who grabs himself 2 critical kills on the Akali.
Nicely played there by Heal and by Yoru, waiting over the wall with the Hex Flash to get the knockback onto both targets. Dantes and Realms are cleaned up, will not get what they came for. They do, in fact, end up now with further time where Dantes isn't farming. This is great.
Oh my God.
Serenai, though, looking for the 1 versus 2 with the Vanguard's edge. Can he get the last Q? He can. He takes down Idol 1 versus 2, and now Yoru outmatched and outgunned, forced to flash over the wall.
Wow, Serenai's Aurelia is disgusting. The gall to go in 1 versus 2 there, knowing that Idol has exhaust as well over top. That is some serious confidence here from the Warden stand-in for this day 2. And now they're chasing on to Yoru with that Master Yi ultimate. He's just running home to Yoru to pick up the kill. Does get the reset as well. Heals is here and should burn through Realms. So will be a support trade at the end of the day, but more kills and more gold towards Dantes.
Very, very clean executions here from Heal. And the Heal versus Serenai team fights are going to go so crazy this game, or when they start facing off against each other in side lanes. Two very mechanically intensive champions flying all over the map with all of the dashes that they bring to the table, and both playing very, very well so far in this game number 2.
Without a doubt. Now our attention has to shift towards some of these item breakpoints. And what neutral timers are we on here? The grubs currently being done by Dumpa. Not really any response going to come through from Dantes and company, because their jungler is on the bot side, going bot to top clear, but this Irelia and Sejuani continue to get value out of their partnership as they claim another flash, but the response from NLE on the top side.
Ooh, Dumpa taking aggro a little sooner than he wanted to. That means that the turret damage is already going to start to amp up. Just one more shield going to be enough to keep that Urgot alive. Elias has arrived to the scene, but it's only to catch the wave. Can't turn around the fight.
Fiji is very thankful that his support rushed onto that locket. I remember I talked about how first blood on supports isn't always very favorable, but you got to think if he doesn't get first blood, he doesn't get that locket early, doesn't save Fiji, and now retroactively it's the butterfly effect, creating more wins potentially for NLE, but Dantes runs in with the Highlander. True Shot Barrage not going to find its mark on any Warden's members. So just going to be a buffer of the reset, but with Realms here, they might just go back for more. Go in for seconds. They've got Evan as well. Glacial Prison down, lands onto Dumpa. Health bars are just far too low for NLE. Who's going to take the first aggro? Alliance snipes out Fiji with a huge monster Q in the background, and they do end up picking off Realm, but it's going to cost them 3 more kills for Wardens as they are unrelenting in their potential final match of the qualifiers.
A beautiful dive for Wardens. They get themselves 3 kills. They're able to clean it all up, and what a big injection of gold there into Elias and Dantes. 2 of them going on over to the Karma, probably wishing that could have been a triple for the Master Yi, but not like it's not going to have value just where they put it. Excellently played by this squad and getting the gold right where it needs to go. They have got so many massive threats here, and the rest of the squad is just here as support.
But we talked about from draft, Wardens need to be aggressive and kill hungry to get leads for how many damage dealers they bring to the table, like you talked about, Gordo, and they've done it. They've got 3+ kills on their jungler, their 80 carry in quotation marks, and their mid laner, and they're looking for more here for Dantes, but I don't think you can chase down Fiji. That is a very hard Udyr to knock down. Still opting pretty heavily to come towards this top side, maybe play for the turrets. First turret was claimed there by Heal on the backside, so monsters slain is what's going to decide the feats of strength conversation, with it being only a 2-to-1 right now for NLE. My apologies, I didn't realize they got 6 grubs. That's actually pretty big for this game.
Yeah, definitely is. Will give NLE the ability to have some side lane threat, especially on the likes of Heal, if he is going to be the one that ends up trying to hang on and keep those side waves pushed up. Good for Fiji as well, who's just been doing so well in his one-on-one up against Evan. Going to just continue to hang out up there, be the immovable object, and yeah, it's just tough for this Urgot to play, given the current state of the lane.
Does have time. The game is in a decent spot for the rest of his team as we go look at those gold grass. Like to see that Heal is the most fed member of NLE, but I still am waiting to see what he can get done on this Akali, because I think this low rage, skirmish heavy comp you're seeing right now from Serenai onto Idol can be really hard for an Akali to pilot around. But Heal was a hero in game number 1 on the Azir. See what he's got in his bag on this Akali, because he is accelerated the most out of anybody for NLE right now.
Yeah, so Fiji found Dantes about a second ago. Dantes walks up and steals away the big petals. Do appreciate seeing that. And every single member of Wardens is currently topside, while Heal is pushing into bottom. And this is exactly what I was just talking about
Akali.
With those 6 grubs. I mean, this split push Akali gonna be plenty fine when you do have 6 grubs at your back.
It's an interesting strategy, stretching the map with this comp, but It's a good way to nullify a lot of the pick potential you give over to Wardens, as long as you know where they're trying to play towards the map, what side they're trying to overload. You are pretty comfortable commanding the rest of the map. As Fiji is going to get the full might of Dantes here, who does drop the Highlander. Pops the flash as well. Fiji's just trying to buy time with his health bar. Dantes just not going to be able to get the kill. Fear Beyond Death goes just wide. Lot of big summoners to get out of a main carry for Wardens there for virtually nothing.
Yeah, it took a shot. Going to get Fiji out of there and going to be able to at least get this turret. They're going to actually give it over to Evan. I'm surprised they don't try to make sure that this gold goes exclusively to Dantes, but got to get Evan back in the game somehow, I suppose. Yeah.
That's how you got to do it. Because you need Thurgot to be a problem as well. Remember, you're betting on 3 champions to be the mainstay carries, and it's nice if you can get more than one. More than just Dantes at this point. It does feel like they do have that. Serenai and Dantes are going to be menaces in these fights. It's just all up to target selection and how can NLE disrupt this Warden's game plan. Can't disrupt a Herald take, as that one will be secured by Dantes, so we're going to have no fight over that. It's going to bring on a bit of a lull here, where side lane pressure is going to be a key thing to play for, with Otacon, Dragon, and Baron pretty far out from spawning on the Rift. Multiple minutes for all 3 of those buffs.
For sure. So, going to be Troll over mid for Next Level Esports. They are going to look to clear out this wave using the True Shot Barrage and set themselves up to potentially be able to threaten. It doesn't look like Wardens are very interested in sending over anybody to deal with this. At least Realms will be there. They are just camping inside the jungle, seeing who they can find, making sure Yoru's there to clear out all of the vision as well.
It's a pickle that Wardens are in right now that Evan is too far behind, and Elias is not a good matchup for Heal. Right now, Heal is really powerful, and whoever it comes to side lane against him, and maybe that's why you see Wardens trying to go into Fiji, right? Because Fiji may be hard to kill, but he doesn't have kill threat. So they're trying to punish him. And they're leaving Heal to just kind of farm up on his own some. They're looking for the 2v2s here, but the crash down Magnet Storm comes across for Yoru. Vanguard's Edge is dropping exhaust overhead on Serenai. It limits all of his damage, and Idol's been able to kind of free hit this entire time, and he's looking to push the tempo further. Serenai burns his flash. Everybody's flashing, but it's Heals that cuts down the angle onto Realms, and he's going to give the kill over to Dumpa, but the chase is far over. Fiji catches Serenai, trying to recall in a brush, and now Dantes is using the Highlander to run away. The exact opposite key for this Master Yi, desperately gonna drop next over to a double kill for Heal, and it's finally Evanline to fall next. The dominoes fall in place for Next Level Esports, 4-0 in the fight.
What execution by Next Level Esports here. Heal knowing the very edges of his range as he keeps the fight going, continues to chase deeper and further, and Yoru finding onto Serenai to be able to get them kills on both fronts and just chase down the rest of the fight. Next Level Esports were ahead all along, but now they are truly dominant in this game.
Gordo, we've talked all weekend about how this new qualifiers format pedestals so many players that even the tier 3 veterans are unfamiliar with, and today it feels like the name to know is Heal from this NLE roster. If you don't know him, you're learning. So are the Wardens, the way this guy's played in these 2 games. Azir game was masterful, and an Akali that I thought was going to have issues into this low-range Wardens comp is still singing with the way he's been able to single out, to find targeted single enemies to cut down. 6-1 on this Akali. Has 2 items done, a fully stacked Dark Seal. Right now, Heal can kill whoever he wants on the Rift in a 1v1, and that's got to make Wardens very scared.
Going to make Wardens scary indeed, as there's going to be Wardens trying to keep this going. Onto the bottom side, they commit their Rift Herald, and they will be able to tear through that turret. They do get themselves a little bit of something back, and not going to have it in the cards to be able to push for more onto that inner turret. Instead, falling back into the river. Dragon is spawning in 10 seconds. Let's see if they want to play for it. They do have, of course, Dantes and Realms near each other, which is the recipe to be able to make a big pick.
They're looking to use that river control to start off the fight here. Serenai, Aiden Exhaust got singled out, didn't get the value of the Aurelia we saw earlier on. But it's a fight for the mid lane first. Control given over to NLE. The wave gonna immediately get responded to, and yeah, we're stacking up for this first 5v5 fight around our first Infernal Soul. It's just a matter of who really pulls the trigger first. Realms maybe for Wardens, or is it gonna be a crashdown coming across from Yori? We'll have to see.
Absolutely. So starting things on off, the Dragon going to be aggro, Dumpa going to start onto it. And 5 members of Wardens trying to approach from the top side, trying to create a powerful engage angle for Dante's heal. Like you said, going for the flank. It's Heal starting off the fight with the Magnet Storm, getting it onto multiple members. Serenai gets knocked back into the rest of the team. It's 1-for-1 trade here so far. Dante's running amok on the backside. Going to be jumped on over by Idol. Not quite in the execute range for Evanline. Just a centimeter away from it. It could have been the execute. It could have been the fear, but it does not happen. Just by a edge of a razor's edge. That's the term. That's what people say. Next level esports come out with the win.
Dantes got to his target he wanted, right? Got a 1v1 with Idol in that scrum. It was on the rift. We're gonna replay. I mean, look how many people are just layered on top of each other. There's just so much chaos. But through it all, Dantes picks up this first kill, gets a reset on Highlander, and jumps onto Idol. But look what Idol does here. He arcane shifts over the wall to force the flash, then flashes back to where he is, so he creates just enough space away from Dantes to fire one more Essence Flux. Mystic shot combo. That's really the difference maker, because Dantes was by far the scariest threat on Wardens, and if you can limit him to 1 trade kill on your support, NLE have enough damage with the rest of their team to fly high. And by this point in the game, we're going to start getting full item leads for guys like Heal, Dumpa, and Idol coming across. Maybe not Idol, but mostly Heal and Dumpa, that mid-jungle duo, are pretty online and hard to deal with. The book of confidence locked in here for Heal. He wants that Dark Seal to get upgraded.
Indeed he does, and let's see. He will in fact go for it. I mean, just 10 stacks. Going to get it. Yeah, goes in for the Magi's, so has that extra movement speed. Idol getting engaged on now. Serenai might have found his man, but the exhaust comes on through. So valuable, as you've said, Slayer, and Serenai is just going to get melted down. It's Dante's to the backside, though. Looking to be able to get on Idol. Not quite going to be enough to be able to finish him off. Pulled back on in by Evanline's Fear Beyond Death. Going to make it 2 kills.
Go,
and Dante's is going deep for a 3rd one. Idol with nowhere left to go. Dante's comes up with the shutdown. It's 3 kills for 1.
Idol, NLE cannot gamble fighting without heals. That's exactly what will happen. Warden's great capitalization, recognizing the Akali was topside. No teleport was ever channeled by heals, and they reap the rewards. What a gold ejection for Evanline. I want to see what he gets off this reset. Immediately buys the Sterix and gets a null magic mantle. This Urgot was so far behind anybody else on the Rift right now. And that 1,000 gold-esque ejection, Gordo, might be enough for Wardens to be competitive in these 5v5s. We're going to keep talking about it. They have so much raw damage that will never be the problem in these fights. It's just the scenario they get set up in. And now that they have Evanline on 2 items alongside his Aurelia and Yi, these fights could get a lot closer than we've seen in the past 5 minutes.
Definitely, and showing how you could really turn around your fortunes here if you do manage to get the fight angle that you need. Triggering Fear Beyond Death, absolutely massive, as it's kind of the only AoE crowd control that this team has access to. So being able to trigger that, being able to pull somebody in for Evan, force everybody away from your team, get those couple of seconds where they're only fleeing from you and not doing anything else, or at least have to disengage from you, it really lets you split up the fight and start to find the angles that you're looking for if you're Dante's on this Master Yi.
Exactly, Gordo. Now, attention going to turn towards this top side with that Baron spawning not too far away. Dragon also, an Infernal Drake. Soul Point potentially for NLE is going to be a spot to watch for as well. But Next Level Esports and Wardens both know how powerful good old Baron Nashor can be. And it's the classic vision battle. They are leaving heals on the bot side with teleport up, so this is a gamble for Wardens to still have 5 members here, and Elias knows it. Is going to recall to match heals. Doesn't have teleport though, so that's a big stress point to watch for if any fights break out towards this Baron. But for now, everybody's taking a synced up reset. It is Heal to actually grab that tier 2 turret, so
he started on it forever ago.
Yeah, it's true. So finally cashes in that gold.
Indeed. Now going to get himself that little bit of extra money that you do in fact need. Going to try to get himself out of the next spike, but pretty far away from it since he stopped off at the Magi's. At least he didn't lose those stacks in the prior fight. That could have certainly cost NLE a little chunk of their gold lead as the item becomes less and less efficient. There's going to be Baron already up on the table. 30 seconds to go until the dragon is available. Oh, Heal missing the shuriken flip, but still going in for more. Nice, fancy footwork here from the side of Heal to keep that fight going, but it's not going to be enough. And now Yoru getting fouled by the rest of the squad. Comes out, goes wide, but Dumpa is stunned on up by that.
Dantes has him.
But anyway, Dante's going in deep, but too deep. He has to flash back over the wall, but he's taken down. Dantes has committed too hard and will lose his life for it. Evan going to drop as well. Heal pushing for some more on the opposite side. And Next Level Esports come up with everything.
Oh, and Heal grabs the ace at the very end with the stasis so he doesn't lose those precious Magi stacks. And that's the fight broken open for Next Level Esports. It's what happens when they don't all out for one of those damage dealers from Idol or Heal. Dumpa, that Crescent Guard may not get value blocking spells this game, Gordo, but it definitely does on the knockback. And Yoru has constantly caught Dantes trying to rush down for some of these kills, stuns him up over the wall so he doesn't die, and they allow Idol on this lethal tempo Ezreal, this auto attack maxing mastery to just run through the rest of this fight. And now it's witching hour for Wardens as we get a replay look back at this fight, and you're just going to see exactly like I talked about. Dumpa knocks and disrupts the initial engage. Serenite takes way too much damage, and look at Yoru flashing over the wall, stunning Dantes, gets the turret shot through, and once you lose Dantes and Serenite, Wardens, they can't win a damn fight.
And tremendously played by Yoru there to be able to find Dantes under the turret. And
okay.
All right, Heal. Okay. Let's chill out, brother. Serenite is off the map once again. I talked about exciting one-on-ones between these guys, but Heal's pulled away to quite a substantial degree here and making it a little bit less competitive now. It's one member down. That's the Dragon taken by Next Level Esports. They're on Soul Point now. Going to be a collapse up towards Fiji. Can they get some more gold into Dantes' pockets? I think this Udyr is just too fast.
Yeah, this is exactly what Fiji wants. One, because this is how psychotic top laners can be. They laugh when they see more than one person coming towards them in lane. But for the second fact that if you're Gamble stacking 3 over towards him, the mid lane is wide open. Heal does need a Glacial Prison, but he was in the Shroud, so they couldn't get the auto attacks down. And now Heal gets to run forward and just knock down all of the pillars that were standing on the Warden's house. Picks up 2 kills before he drops, but still a fight won. And look how in shambles the Warden's base is. They might just go for the win here and knock Dantes out of the qualifiers.
Yeah, there's the Vanguard's Edge connecting for Serenite. It's pretty good, but the Irelia is just not strong enough. Dantes in a 1 versus 4 will be the last member of his team to fall. It's an ace to Next Level Esports, and they will lock themselves a spot competing in next week's continued open qualifier.
Kudos to Wardens for putting together some unique drafts and intriguing early games, but Next Level Esports are too calm and composed in these games to ever relent. And how about their rookie mid laner? I mean, you see the idle stats on this Ezreal. I think he did a really good job surviving, but I had questions about the Akali for Heal into a game. I understand it was a comfort pick, and he showed why. So Akali ends up going, I believe, 12-2 and some change of assists. What a 2 games for this rookie NLE mid laner that might just give enough of juice to Next Level Esports to be a big-time threat in this lower bracket.
Yeah, I mean, justifiably doubted after dropping 0-2 to don't ban Viego in day number 1, but Next Level Esports, a 4-0 day 2, really redeeming themselves here and showing that they can be a big threat in this lower bracket. And I'm gonna be honest with you, Slayer, I think they're favored in the next round as well. They're gonna end up playing against Exodus, most likely. It's Exodus or Canadian Cartel, whoever end up coming up with the win over in that lower bracket match. But I think Exodus probably the favored team there, and I think this NLE squad can take them.
I think that's a fun matchup for sure as we look ahead, because I do think that Exodus team does have some names I've been waiting to hear and have heard rumblings of as potential up and comers, right? Like we know about Kraken on for a while. I've heard some good things about Genesis in the mid lane. St. Ghoul is their support. I've heard a lot of people talk about St. Ghoul as one of those guys to fill in the support pool. But for now, we're talking about Next Level Esports punching their ticket forward, looking for the organization's furthest journey through the qualifiers. And I might have to go back and do the math and look a bit more back into NLE, but I'm pretty confident if they move on to the 4th round of losers, that would be the furthest this organization has likely made it in a qualifiers. What a spot to be in, especially for young guys like we've kept preaching with NLE that are still looking to break out on the tier 3 space and level up as players that can look to maybe qualify for tier 2. Because that's always the goal for so many of these players, but you got to put yourselves in the spotlight first to do that among the masses, and NLE are accomplishing that goal so far ever since they got to the losers bracket.
Yeah, completely agree with you there. So let's do the math here. The furthest they've ever made it is top 16 in Summer OQ1. Right. So they'll be top 32 with this win, and then 8 more teams will be eliminated in the next round. So that would be top 24. So they need to win 1 more after that, I think, to match their top 16. But I mean, the formats are so different, right? I think a lot of that, I don't think we could use that traditional, top 16, whatever, kind of dichotomy anymore if this is going to be the OQ format going forward. Just because so much of it is about what opponents you face off against, right? There's some paths through the OQs that are far, far more difficult than others. I think, and maybe we should have always done it this way, but I think you're really going to have to evaluate teams about the opponents they've played against and how they've performed up against those opponents.
Yeah, and this is going to be I believe, a bit more game, like total games played than that other format, right? Because
they played 5 games to get top 16 before. Well, it was just winning splits, just going 3-2 or better.
Yeah, but in GSLs, you played at least 2 more series too. So,
but they lost those games.
But one more series.
Yeah, so it was like my point is it used to be like win 3 of 5 and you're guaranteed top 16. It's nowhere near that easy to get top 16.
No. Yeah, and they only played 7 total games. You're talking about the summer qualifiers. Last time they made it to the GSL stage, they lost 0-2 to BlackRock. So after that, they played 7 total games. They've already played. I mean, they played 4 games today. And I would bet that they played 2 yesterday. They played 2 games yesterday. Yeah, so they're at 6. So
still get to at least 8.
They're going to at least play 8 games. But yeah, I mean, and I just realized I saw Asila in the chat hyping up his boys. This is Asila's old qualifier team, so that's cool to see. And guys, I mean, Idol and Yoru and Fiji have been a part of this team for a while. And Fiji jumped in for the last qualifiers as well, second qualifier. So they all play together on ACL. So yeah, this is cool. This core has been together, and now with Heal, they've kicked it up to the next level, one would say.
Absolutely. And if you're throwing back to the salt mine here at Slayer, which I of course have to plug. Whenever we're on here, plug. Go tune in, go listen to our OQ takes on our podcast. But when we were talking about ACL over on that show, this was the NLE squad that kind of had that heartbreaker at the end as well. They went 4-4 in the group stages, and just some unfortunate tiebreaker action, what kept them out of that playoff. So really glad to see them back here as the full same 5-man squad, right? Heal was their mid laner they brought in mid-season over in ACL, and now taking it all the way through to getting to top 32 OQs right here after 2 rounds of elimination, surviving both of them today. Really impressive stuff from this squad on their 4-0 day 2.
But looking forward to next week, Gordo. Of course, want to shout you out one more time. Well, our main man will not be here on Aegis. He'll be on the main broadcast, so that'll be cool to see you chopping it up on NACL Twitch. Make sure to give him that love. But for next week, Gordo, how does the format look like? How does this tournament evolve going into weekend 2 of 3? Not just for NACL Esports, but in general, right? Because I assume Aegis will be returning to cover Gravity's run. So, like for a team like Gravity, where will we be at next Saturday and Sunday?
So you will be in round 3 of winners on Saturday. That'll be played simultaneously with round 3 of losers. So there'll be some streams covering elimination matches, some streams covering upper bracket matches, because there are still, quite the set of teams competing up there to try to make it into those initial promotion matches. So going to be some of the heavy hitters playing in that upper bracket, as well as the elimination matches being played here. And then day 3 is going to go right into winners round 4 and losers round 4. So you get to keep these games going simultaneously throughout. But then on Sunday, that's where things really get heated up, is that's where we're going to get our first qualification series.
First 2.
There's conflicting information on what order those are going to be played in, whether the qualification series will be first or last. The Battlefy says last, so I think that is more likely, even though the rule book says it'll be played first. So definitely going to be some very exciting games, definitely going to get into the most competitive parts of the tournament next weekend. So if you enjoyed this weekend, you definitely want to be there next week, for where we start to find out who's making tier 2 and who is going to be getting sent home early. Tons of fun, great format so far. I'm getting really into. There's some raw appeal to a big double elim bracket. Everybody loves a big double elim bracket,
especially in March, right? March.
Exactly.
Big brackets for March. So it's been cool to see. Just check to make sure. So if you return to Aegis, I will be back here. We will likely be starting, regardless where they go, we'll be starting with Gravity taking on Dog Fans. So that is round 3 upper, with a potential spot to play for qualification on the line for Gravity in that weekend if they can run out. So we'll be there live at 4 p.m. Eastern for Gravity versus Dog Pens here from Aegis. Make sure to head over to the main stream next weekend to give love to the Aegis royalty that is Gordo. But for now, that closes out weekend number 1 of NACL 2025 qualifiers. Make sure to go check out some of the other streams, as the games are still running all Sunday long. But we'll see you back here next weekend on Saturday for more Gravity action, courtesy of Aegis. Until then, take care, and we'll see you soon.